Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Yoko and Frisky's Dimensional Rift. This week, the week of Paramount, we will be discussing X-Men movies in their finest. More like, the X-Men family movies. And what I mean by family, I'm looking at you, DP, and Wolverines. And we have our guest here, Frankie McFrankerson, and my brother from another mother, MC Metrocard Frisky.
No, don't bury the lead. We have our comic book expert here, Frankie, aka Frankie Blaze, who decided to wake up a little early to join us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Right, everybody's going gaga over the Snyder Cut and the Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I would like to argue that we wouldn't have these beautiful things if it wasn't for that first X-Men movie. Would you guys agree?
I would say we wouldn't have it if it wasn't for Blade.
Blade too. He plays an important part, but I feel like that first X-Men was like a cultural event. Like that was the one that really just said like, all right, comic book movies are here to stay. Do you guys remember where you were when you saw the first X-Men?
I was in high school. No, I was 8th grade. When did that movie?
Came out in 2000, the year 2000.
Okay, and so then I was in 7th grade, and then I remember really seeing it in Florida over the summer because my grandparents had HBO, and we were like, yeah, HBO, they got all the movies, yeah, And, back then HBO was seen as the adult channel.
Skinamax was the adult channel in my house.
Ooh.
That's true. Cinemax was
Real people call them Skinamax.
I remember when I saw it and what theater I saw it in. I was still living in at my mom's place because again I was a kid at that time. But I went with an old friend of mine who I've known since I was like 7, and we were there. I think we were probably in our teens at that point. And we went to the local movie theater that's shut down now. It's no longer the building's still there, but the whole thing is gutted. There's if you ever seen anybody ever seen Last Action Hero?
No.
I've seen parts of it.
There's the era of that movie theater that kid went to looked like that theater that I used to go to. It was like a rebuilt old Coliseum building. It had pillars, all this weird stuff. They had an old school Mortal Kombat that still had the blood in it. Freaking arcade machine in the top.
Love it.
It was one of the it was such a dilapidated freaking building, but it was so fun to go into. Me and another friend that used to was the son of this fusion Chinese Dominican restaurant. Jimmy, his dad was his dad's name. He was the coolest dude. Him and his son snuck in and watched Mighty Ducks 2 in that theater.
Aww.
But I remember watching X-Men in the front row of this small theater and having to look up because me and my boy got there late because I kept going yo, we gotta get there before the seats are taken. He's like, no man, don't worry about it. I'm like, you know how this works. And we were front row, our necks cranked all the way up as I'm watching Magneto and Charles Xavier going they no longer matter, Charles. I'm I don't know what's going on, man.
I think I saw it.
First experience.
Yeah. So see, it was sold out everywhere. I saw it in Astoria, I believe, in Steinway. That was the theater where you can sneak in through the exit door because there were no guards there back in the day.
Oh, I'm right next to that theater now.
I know. And dude, I was 10 years old. I was the perfect age for this movie, and it hit in all the right places. I was like, yes, because before this, the most popular interpretation of the X-Men was the cartoon, so people were ready for this one, and it was a big ass
colors, yellow suits.
We're gonna talk about that, man.
I love it.
But yeah, last month when it was snowing a bunch, I sat down and watched like all of the X-Men movies in release order, except Dark Phoenix because I didn't want to give myself a headache.
Thank God.
And I took down a bunch of notes. And the first thing I noticed, man, that score, man, it opens up with this pretty cool score.
One of the greatest things of the X-Men franchise, I will always say, is especially for the original trilogy movies and some movies that come out like later on, but the opening of the X-Men movie is iconic.
Yes.
Just because it starts with
Mutants.
And then just an explanation from Sir Patrick Stewart as then the theme starts rolling in, and I'm like, that's a really good way to engage your audience.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that casting, man. Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. That's like one of the best comic book castings of all time.
Yeah, I mean that was like the greatest fan cast, like that even the studios like capitalized on. Like normally most studios won't even do it anymore. Like they won't go with what the fans want, or like not what the fans already deemed as what should be in terms of casting. Because if anyone ever read Wizard magazines back in the day, like it was they did like fan cast, and Charles Xavier was casted as Patrick Stewart for like the longest time.
I just remember the fan casts are in a lot of fanzines back then too.
Yeah.
So like. That's wild, man.
And of course,
he's like the progenitor of like, if this is the guy that we want, then this is the guy we're gonna have to cast. Like you can't. There's no mixed words here. Like Patrick Stewart, Xavier, done.
Yeah, and the funny thing, you get into someone like Wolverine. He wasn't the first choice.
No,
it was Douglas Scott. And
really,
yeah, their first choice, yeah.
He was the first choice, but he was filming on Mission Impossible 2, so they had to go with Hugh Jackman, and then Hugh Jackman just made the role his.
I always loved that he made that bet. He went, you know what? No. Mission Impossible 2 is the hill I'm going to die on. And I was like, I mean, and if you ever look at it, you will go, you know what? It has freaking, what's the director's name? God damn it, I'm forgetting Mission Impossible.
John Woo.
John Woo, thank you. Yeah, it had John Woo, fucking Tom Cruise. Like you would literally be stupid to say that this is a losing bet.
Word.
And yet, it was.
Yeah, and that was history, my friend. History.
Yeah. Now we can see him live on Batwoman.
Yay!
The man's career has gone so amazing.
The Batwoman that has taken so many turns, the direction.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that could be its own episode.
Yeah.
So, we open up at the Holocaust. Well, was it not the Holocaust? It's an.
Oh no, we got. Sorry, we're talking about like the rest of the casting. I'm sorry, like we still have to talk about like Halle Berry being casted as freaking Storm.
Oh yeah,
was a perfect choice.
You're right.
Freaking
they wanted Janet Jackson for Storm, and I totally agree. Janet Jackson,
but Halle Berry got the role, and then she came in with her ridiculous accent.
Yeah, for one movie.
They scared me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's crazy.
Baby girl, no.
James Marsden as Cyclops wouldn't have been my first choice, but I still like James Marsden, and him being Cyclops, a character who I enjoy, was I was sorely let down by his character in the X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Well, freaking Sir Ian McKellen is still, even though knowing like Magneto as a character for years, as reading in the comic books as a buff young dude who survived the Holocaust, I was always like, he is a fantastic actor. So he made that role his.
Yeah. You got Famke Janssen as Jean Grey.
Yes.
She did a great job. Especially
Famke Janssen as Jean Grey is great. I love her. She's fantastic. And it's funny that I didn't know who she was at all. I never knew who Famke Janssen was because I didn't watch that many movies when I was growing up originally, or I didn't retain enough information.
She was most known for her role in GoldenEye, I believe.
Yes, later on, I remembered that she was in GoldenEye, and later on, when I finally watched all of Star Trek, I realized that she played opposite Sir Patrick Stewart as a
Whoa.
telepath, and I was like, that's hilarious.
Oh, wait. What character?
I forget her name. Like when she was in a one-shot episode where she was supposed to, again, this weirdness of old school Star Trek, but she was being ferried by the Enterprise to a location where she was going to meet her future husband, and the thing was that she has to imprint on that person.
Ooh.
And they have to be, yeah, it's like one of those weird episodes. And because she meets Patrick Stewart, she slowly starts imprinting on Picard because of his strength and his his will of leadership, and then she started taking those traits. And he's like, she's great, but even though I have a connection with her, I have to fulfill my duty. And I was like, this is such a weird episode.
You're like, I feel a little awkward, you know.
And then, and a pack win as Rogue.
Rogue or Anna Marie.
Snooki
Marie.
in freaking, what is that, True Blood?
She was on True Blood.
Yeah, but nobody knows her for the X-Men roles anymore. They all love her for True Blood.
To be fair, man, like Rogue's role in the X-Men movies weren't that big, except for the first one.
Yeah.
It's true.
But yeah.
I mean the problem with Rogue's character, and we'll get into more of that with with the rest of the X-Men movies. But Rogue's character was supposed to be the audience surrogate because she is the character we follow. So she has development, but not that much development, and they only really had it for like one movie. And she's also supposed to fill the role of kid sidekick to Wolverine. Because Wolverine always had a young girl sidekick that he would always take into combat whenever the fuck available. It was Kitty Pryde, it was Jubilee, and here it is Rogue.
Yep. And I thought that, when I was a kid, I thought that was cool. Now that I'm older, I'm like, some person wanted daddy figure rules going on. Y'all need to stop.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the reasoning, and many writers later on would make it that whoever, and that's the funny thing. I always say that whoever teams up with Wolverine will come out to be the baddest dude or person alive after the fact, because you went around living with a 200-year-old fucking ninja samurai from Canada, and he literally trains you from adolescence to adulthood, and then you either become the leader of the X-Men later on, or the most badass assassin that's ever happened.
Yep.
Like, that's just your career path. The moment you leave with Wolverine.
That's true.
You get that resume cred.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that this movie, the way it opens, it kind of tells us that Jewish people were the first mutants.
That what you got?
I wouldn't say that.
I'm just kidding. Because, Magneto's there, and he's, yeah. I was just kidding. But, the first scene Rogue is in, the one where she's kissing her boyfriend, I found that's filmed like a horror scene, man.
Yeah.
Because
I would say, going back to, like, the Holocaust part, I do like the usage of, because again, the message of the X-Men has always been the different and the disenfranchised and the one who are, like, maltreated in society. And the Holocaust is one of those, you can't really go that high above that ceiling the moment you hit Holocaust. But they use of people who are oppressed, taken advantage of, seen as less. And the first mutant we get to experience that with is Magneto. So we see the big other side of oppression and what it means to be different. And that's
exactly
a good starting off point, I would say.
Well, it is,
I
for
find
sure.
it interesting because X-Men is in general is one big allegory for United States diversity,
Yes.
Oppression, racism. Did I say diversity?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Inclusion without what people claim to be what's called force. So it has such a rich history and I've since because of the movies actually because of the movies I end up reading what my brother had in his collection and rewatching the cartoon really mostly because of the first two movies, and then when Dark Phoenix came out I just kind of just didn't want to exist.
Yeah. Let's you guys remember Wolverine's intro? He's like has the most badass intro. He's in a cage fighting in Canada.
Yep. The infamous cage fight.
Yeah, and then Rogue.
Hugh Jackman at his skinniest.
Yeah, and I was gonna talk about that. Like, you know how you get casted for a superhero movie these days, and you immediately have abs.
Yeah.
Like just like that. He doesn't really. He's not really in like superhero shape. He's kind of like a regular dude.
Yeah. He was not at his biggest at that point.
No.
Like given time, the evolution of this guy is fucking nuts. But yeah.
Fun fact: the reason why he looks so muscular, especially during the fight scenes, is they put him on a heavy hamburger, chicken, protein diet.
Yeah.
And then they would dehydrate him right when he would come out of the. Remember when he came out of the tubs, the experimental tub, and scream with showing his claws.
Yeah.
And that's when he was at his most dehydrated because your muscles stick to your skin and tighten. I'm like, this is gross.
Yeah, you see him.
He heavily did that. He heavily did that for the Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly.
That fight. He like that. The fights where he has his shirt off is like the moment he like dehydrated his body, and he fucked himself over for that. Like it sucks now, but he legitimately freaking had some health conditions now because he did that.
Yeah,
and I was like, it sucks, and I commend him, and I love him for it because he wanted to do that for the screen. He wanted to make it look good, but damn, that was a detriment to his health, and I would not wish that on anybody.
He even said that when his last Wolverine, he said, "Oh God, thank God this is the last Wolverine movie because I want to have a real meal, man. I want a salad." I was like, "Ding!"
He's dedicated, man, to his craft. Those Wolverine claw effects, they still hold up to this very day. It's better than.
the greatest thing about those were like practical. Like most of those were practical effects.
Not unlike Stupid Origins.
Yeah.
Terrible effects. So, I'm just going off my notes. Cyclops and Storm, they rescue like Wolverine and Rogue from the Brotherhood. My thing is like Magneto's
like that's one of the best like sequences before that, like the sequence like right where Wolverine is like introduced, like after Rogue disappears, we have the sequence where Xavier is talking to Frankie Mateo is talking to like the Senate so this means that the universe has gone to the point that mutant exists, they're out in the world, people know that they exist, and we're having the first pushback with Senator Kelly, and then we're introduced to Wolverine like in the cage fight, and we see Ada Pac-Man's character, we see Rogue, and we see her sneak into his truck, and then the moment he she explained, and it's one of the best lines, the moment she's like looking at his knuckles because he already popped his claws to like shred that dude's like shotgun, and the shells come out, and then he's just slowly extracting his claws and doing like the two claws and the middle claw coming at the guy's like neck, and then they leave, and then she's looking at his knuckles and says, "Does it hurt?" And this is the first time since history in the comics, Wolverine goes, "Every time." And I'm like,
every time.
That's actually interesting because no one has ever expressed like, "Hey, Wolverine, when you rip fucking claws out of your goddamn hands every single time, do you feel that, or has it become just second nature?" But no, it's like it's such a cool scene, and then the fucking Tyler Maine's freaking Sabretooth, never to be seen again, gets throws a fucking tree, like a giant tree, and Wolverine gets crashing out the fucking car because he's not wearing a seatbelt. Which also advocates wear your fucking seatbelts when you drive, people.
Well, he doesn't give a shit.
And it's such a great sequence where he's just tumbling down in the snow, gets up, you see the open wound like rapidly heal, and that's your first like full indication of, oh, this is what this guy is.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sequence. But what I noticed watching it, there's not a lot of action in this movie. It's very low key. They keep it very grounded. Most of the action is at the end, because other than this scene, you get the scene at the train where Magneto just like throws Wolverine, and then Cyclops gets his stupid visor stolen from Toad, and then you have that amazing scene with Magneto. He like turns the guns on the police, which is iconic.
You humans and your guns.
It's iconic.
That's a good plan.
But what I was gonna say is that once Logan and Rogue are in the school, they immediately put Rogue in a class. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
No fucks given. It's like, you're going to class.
You're gonna stay, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn, Rogue. You're gonna learn.
And then we get the small introduction to all the mutants there, like the kid that can skip over water. I think there's a teleporting kid that likes playing basketball.
The first Kitty Pride.
Yeah, and the first Kitty Rogue. We get to see who was that? Iceman. Freaking Sean Ashmore. I think that was, or was it?
Yes.
What was the brother? I forget. It was Sean Ashmore.
You have Animorphs fame.
Yes, of Animorphs fame.
That was an upgrade.
And and it's such a like it's a cool introduction of seeing the Westchester School of gifted youngsters for the first time. You know, the Xavier School of gifted youngsters, you know, located in Westchester, New York. But it's such a, because again, as a comic book reader, this is the first time we're seeing the thing that we've seen so many times in a page, like, you know, here, like in the flesh, and then later on in Smallville as the same castle. Or then later on as Oliver Queen's mansion later.
That's pretty funny.
But yeah, it's such an interesting, like, just to see it finally, like, you know, showcase like these characters in the flesh, in the school that you've read so much about. It's cool.
Yeah, it was like a really awesome moment to see them all on screen for the first time. Even though, if your name isn't Xavier, Magneto, Logan, or Rogue, you're probably wallpaper in this movie. To be honest, because let's talk about Cyclops. Like, he's a cuck in this movie, man. Like, Logan is just like hitting on his girl right in front of him, and his whole dialogue is just, "Stay away from my girl, move." Like, you know, shit like that.
I like the weirdest introduction of the character was we get Logan in the medical chamber, and Jean is performing like, you know, her science or whatever to figure out what's going on, and then they show Xavier and Cyclops who are in the room with him, and she goes like, "He's old, probably older than you, Professor," and I'm like, "Damn, what the fuck is that about?"
It's messed up. Respect your elders.
But also the greatest scene. I'm sorry. Also the greatest sequence, because I just remembered, is where he's running and he's like waking up and he's trying to figure out, and he's like hearing the whispers, and it's Xavier leading him through the hallways, and then he gets to the room and Xavier's like there with like, I don't know, 10 kids, and then they all leave, and he's like, you know, he's telling him, you know, "You're not the only one with special gifts." And he goes like, "And that's Cyclops, and that's Jean, and what they call you, Wheels?" I'm like, "That's great."
Yes. Yeah, man, Hugh Jackman just kills it in his role. Fun fact, that scene, it comes up a little later, where Wolverine's having a nightmare and Rogue goes to check up on him.
Yeah.
Freaking, like, cuts right into her, impales her ass, and then she takes his power to heal herself. I had an action figure of that, where you push in on Rogue's stomach and the claws come out her back.
What?
Yeah, it was such a weird.
Such a bizarre fucking specific action figure.
I know, right? But I had it. I was like, okay. Where you at, Jen? She's muted. She's probably doing something. But yeah, I don't want to linger on the first movie too long. I want to get to these other ones. But I want to say,
I just want to give reference to the fact that this, you know.
Yeah, this set the foundation for sure. Yeah. Like, for everything to come. Of course,
greatest lines to come out of the movie.
The yellow spandex one.
What happens to Frost? Yeah.
Oh, no.
What happens to Frost when they're hit by lightning? Same thing as everything else.
People still like talk about that line to this day because it's so confusing. It's like, huh?
Because it is so confusing. Yeah, well, why do you have to quit? You don't have to quit.
We really don't, but I guess that was Bryan Singer saying, let's just come up with something cool to say. Just like,
Probably.
alright.
Also, the mirror fight between Wolverine
Mystique.
and Mystique. That was a great bit.
Mystique is also good.
The overall plan for Magneto wasn't terrible. It is just so weirdly executed.
I want to talk about that. Because there's kind of like how does he know about Rogue? It's never explained.
Yeah, that's a good question.
How the fuck does he know that A, Rogue has this power, and B, she's in Canada riding shotgun with Wolverine? It's never explained.
I feel no. So that's no. Yeah, I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
The Wolverine, the bit, because I was gonna explain it the other way, except that you reminded me, even though I brought it up earlier, was that they went after her specifically in Canada finding Rogue. So the only thing that I can say that may or may not explain it, and it's off screen because it's definitely not said in the movie, is that after she put her boyfriend into a fucking coma, someone heard about it, and then that was spread around, and then Magneto heard about it. That's the only way I can explain
through the mutant grapevine.
Yeah, through the grapevine. I would have said that Magneto learned that Rogue had powers after the fact when they were in the mansion, when Mystique was in the mansion pretending to be somebody else, pretending to be freaking Bobby, and then let her like run away. So that was probably what I would say it happened, but it's a plot hole. It's just because I was under the assumption that Magneto was going to use himself to power the machine.
Yeah, I want to know how he built the machine in the Statue of Liberty without anybody knowing. Comics.
Yeah, bullshit. You know?
Comic bullshit.
He's Magneto. He flew up there like yesterday and put it there. Because remember, he had the machine beforehand in his secret cave lair, wherever the fuck he is. And he performed it at Senator Kelly.
And he turned into a giant water balloon, which was fucking hilarious.
After he finally learned, maybe mutants aren't bad.
Yep.
Maybe I was a dick for being a racist.
And his when he shows up on the beach, you get the first on-screen Stan Lee cameo.
Yes.
Boom. It's very. I think he's like
trying to eat a hot dog, man. Trying to eat a hot dog.
And then like all the action is pretty much at the end. You get the X-Men using their powers. You get everything you want to see in an X-Men movie. You want them.
The greatest Wolverine trick of all time when he spins around the crown of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, which there was in all the trailers. And that was the moment where we're like, yeah, you gotta watch this shit. You get the band.
We get the great fight between him and Sabretooth that everyone wanted. No.
You get the banter between him and Cyclops. He like pops his like middle claw to give him the finger, which is a great gag.
How do I know it's you?
You're a dick. Okay. And then you also get the X-Jet and the line about yellow spandex. Because they had to.
And everyone did a sigh of yes. That's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, it's like they I blame Batman and Robin because I guess they didn't want to like do something really colorful and goofy. So
I blame Blade. That's what I blame.
Oh yeah, Blade looks like that in the comics, no?
Well, he did eventually, but it was the main reason was we had superhero comics for the longest time. We had Superman, we had Batman, those were like the big tempo. We even had a Captain America movie back in the day. It did nothing. We had other colorful versions of these characters running around on some form of media, like back when a failed Justice League pilot. Shazam had a show for a while. But the big thing was, the big success was after the Batman franchise has run its course and then died with Batman and Robin, Blade came out. And Blade was the first hardcore, serious superhero movie. And he was just...
I saw Blade, and I've always wanted to.
What?
Badly.
Fuck that. We're watching Blade this Friday.
You should watch Blade. Yeah, you should watch Blade. Blade 1.
We're watching it Friday.
Blade 1 and Blade 2.
I'm downloading it as we speak.
Really good movies. Blade 3 is nothing you should watch.
Oh, Blade 3 is
nothing you should watch.
garbage. Blade 3 is hot
Yeah.
garbage.
Even though it may have a young Hannibal King played by Ryan Reynolds, don't watch that movie. But Blade 1 was the hardcore first serious superhero like genre movie done by Marvel, and
Yeah.
it was, it took itself very seriously. It took the lore and the franchise of the comics and made it, and then retooled it to be better as a live action movie. Yeah, Blade had like leather jackets at one point, but he was still a goofy ass character. And when the movie came out, that all changed. So it became body armor. It became a leather coat,
black,
and
everything
became,
black.
Like, black everything. So the moment that happened, X-Men went, that's the route we need to go. We need to go with the more serious. That's why everything became very serious about the X-Men. It became this whole spiel, and then everyone's costume just became black leather because it worked for Blade.
Yep. But at the time, we accepted the black costumes at the time. We were like, okay, I mean, it's better than nothing. It's not like they look bad, but, we want traditional. But yeah, solid first movie.
Like later on, if you pay if you pay good attention to like the designs of the suit, you see the patterns of what is indicative of most of the X-Men costumes.
Yeah, at least
it's not fully there, but they're somewhat there.
Yeah, at least Storm got a cape.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's move on to X2. We got that. It opens with that one of the best scenes ever.
You gotta say it right.
X2, X-Men United.
X2, X-Men United.
The subtitle they added like the last week when the movie came out. But yeah, it opens with that crazy Nightcrawler scene in the White House, one of the best comic book scenes on screen. And the whole time I was watching it, I was like, man, I wish Trump was in office during this scene. But yeah, man, we get Nightcrawler, who's a total badass in this movie.
Played by
Alan Cumming.
Alan Cummings.
Alan Cummings.
Who was also in GoldenEye alongside Halle Berry.
Small world. Hollywood's a small
I'm
world.
invincible. Okay.
But yeah, I noticed how... This is the first time I noticed how OP Professor X is, because after the White House scene, they're at like a museum. And, Bobby gets into, Pyro gets into, some bullshit with some guy, and then Bobby has to freeze him because he's on fire. And then Professor X just freezes everybody around him. I'm like, holy shit. If he can do this, he can do anything.
I mean, so it is it's a great setup for what will happen later in the movie. And that's really good doing showing and not telling, type storytelling, which happens so much more often now. But it's such a good bit of we're gonna set up a situation which is gonna explain to you visually what can happen, and then so you understand it by the end of the movie. It's like, oh yeah, he can do this at a larger scale, and how fucked up that can be, which also leads to way later in the future,
of course,
which we'll get to when we get to Logan. But it's such a good visual indication of Professor Charles Xavier is the most powerful telepath in the world, and this is a great showcase of that ability. I hate the kid who plays Pyro, but only because he plays Pyro so well.
I wonder how he poops, Xavier. Is there a poop bag? Does he get up on it?
Well, he doesn't have.
You need to know the lore.
But yeah,
he has someone who changes him.
He has Well, I was gonna say Hank McCoy, but that's in the other movies.
That's in the other. The other timeline.
Hank McCoy got sick of changing his diapers, so he bounced.
Probably, I'm gonna say he probably does it. Yeah, I bet you he makes them forget they ever do it.
Oh no!
Just to keep his dignity, just to be like, no one changed. Because again, we learned how Charles Xavier poops in Logan.
Yes, we do. So X2 just takes the first movie and turns it up to 11, man. There's so many great moments in this film.
X2 is one of the better ones, in my opinion. if I ever had to put them in an order, it would be X-Men 1, X2, and then which one was the one that rebooted the franchise with young Xavier?
First Class.
Oh, that was Days of Future Past.
No,
First
Class.
Class. You're right. First Class. First Class. Sorry.
First Class was fine. Days of Future Past was fine. But I can't watch those like I can X1 and X2. I just don't care for the others.
Well, yeah, you know, they're more. There's more at stake in those movies, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Where in you know, X2 is just like a fun comic book movie, but it's still like taking itself sort of seriously. You get more jokes in this one.
The difference between the original X-Men trilogy and then the newer X-Men trilogy is like a span of like a decade.
Yeah.
But it's also because the movie franchise at that point was still trying to figure itself out. We still had Daredevil jumping off to Evanescence in fucking alleyways, and we had Ghost Rider with fucking Nick Cage going crazy in front of a fucking mirror and shit. It's like these movies were more trying to be okay. Let's tell you a story about a subject or a thing or a theme in those movies. Like they were trying to be we're trying to be thematic and trying to showcase. And then later on, it became more, well, they have to save the world, so the entire bit is saving the world. So every movie since then starts going by the mold of Iron Man and the Avengers and shit like that.
Yeah, it starts getting way bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, the stakes are way higher. These characters already, so we're not trying to teach you these characters anymore. That's what it became later on. Like X-Men 2, X-Men United, still a very good movie because it's still trying to wade its way through the franchise. It's trying to make you understand what these characters are about. This is X-Men 2 is the very first movie that goes with the analog of being a mutant is being gay. It's being that other. It's being just like when we get the sequence with Bobby and his parents and everyone trying to hide out at their house, and his mom just goes, "Can you just not be a mutant?" And it's like, no fuck.
Like, no, Mom. I woke up like this.
Yeah, I've always been a mutant. Like, this is who I am. And this is the straight parable being like, oh yeah, everyone thinking, oh, you're gay, you can just stop being gay, right? You can just have sex with women and you're good. It's like, no, that's not how this works. And this is where
mine, by the way.
Huh?
That's a favorite.
Yeah.
Sarcasm.
It's so like a good just showcase of what it these characters and what it means to be different. The extremes that Stryker goes to, take mutants away because his son was such a powerful mutant that he made his mother kill herself or something. Again, his words, we never see it, but he didn't lobotomizes his kid to force him to take Xavier and use him as a weapon. We get more insight into Wolverine. We also get the infamous reshoots that everyone notices with Wolverine's hairstyle changing drastically.
Everybody gets a fresh haircut.
That
scene, the X-Jet scene where they have to dodge missiles, and you get Storm doing her tornadoes, and then you get the first hint of the Phoenix with the glowy eyes that never come back.
Yeah.
Jean destroys
I love her. Oh no! It's like you still had time between your oh no to stop that missile.
Yeah,
Right.
And then fucking Rogue flies out of the jet, and Nightcrawler has to save her. Yo, when that happened in the theater, everybody applauded. That was the first clap moment in the X-Men franchise.
Then Magneto grabbing the jet from freefall. It's a good bit.
And then you got Wolverine. You get the Wolverine scene you've been wanting to see. He takes out a bunch of fucking soldiers in the X mansion.
Oh yeah, the mansion scene, yeah.
Woo.
Also, the first introduction of Colossus.
Yeah, Colossus shows up for a second.
Yeah, I can help you. No, help them.
I'm mad that you said Colossus, but I'm mad that in the Phoenix they had the Juggernaut and they didn't make him Juggernaut. He just said the line, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch," and everyone cheered for it. And the only grandiose interpretation of the Juggernaut was in Deadpool. So, like, ugh.
Yeah.
That's true.
Wish that Wolverine scene
Played
had
by the
blood.
great Vinnie Jones, but it sucks.
Oh, we'll get to that soon. Lady Deathstrike versus Wolverine. Fucking sick.
Whatever.
Oh, you don't like that?
Just because it's not Lady Deathstrike. It's a fucking weird ass, and it's such a sad sequence. I'm sorry, it is a sad. The moment you realize what happens in that fight, you're like, oh sweet, Wolverine gets to fight freaking Lady Deathstrike, and it's gonna be a free for all. They're gonna cut each other up. It's gonna be awesome. But then you start realizing, wait a second, she's under mind control. She has no idea what she's doing, and then Wolverine murders her, and then she comes out of it. She just gargles to death, and Wolverine's like, ugh, I just fucking killed this person, and she didn't even want to fight me.
Yeah, having that liquid adamantium in your body is probably a shitty way to die.
Yeah, it is such a, like, the moment you realize the implications of that sequence, you're like, oh, that's fucked up.
I wrote
like,
down.
all we had to do was, like, I don't know, bind her hands and throw her in a corner.
Just
like,
knock her out, man. Just knock her out.
Just, like, yeah, just fucking, like incapacitate her. Like, wait for her fucking, mind control juice to wear off. Every time I think about that fight, I'm like, awesome, Lady Deathstrike versus Wolverine, and then I was like, oh fuck, Wolverine just murdered quite possibly an innocent victim.
Oh, speaking of innocent victims, I wrote down Pyro burning the cops is a mood. It's probably the coolest thing he gets to do in these movies is blow up a bunch of police cars.
It's such a was such a weird move because Wolverine again instantly comes out the house with knives out. And he's like, why are you walking out the house? Put your claws out.
Put the claws down. I can't.
Put your knives out. Throw the knives out. I can't. Watch. Retracts claws. Some guy goes, he took those claws away. Shoot him. And then Pyro's great line. Hey, you know about those scary mutants you hear about, or in this indication, because we just finished with that whole line, you ever heard about how weird it is to be homosexual? Well, I'm the worst one. And it fires. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh, shit. But Wolverine gets shot in the head, and it takes him a while to get back up. So you can see, like, the healing factor here. It works differently in, like, the other movies, because, like, in the next movie...
It becomes ramped up very much later on. And, I mean, I get it. Like, I get why they do it here. It's supposed to be a real-world scenario. It's supposed to be like, yeah, you have a metal plate in your head, and a bullet can possibly, be stopped by that metal plate. But the jarring impact of your brain swooshing in your head will knock you the fuck out.
Yeah.
I wrote down that in this movie we have the X phone, which is probably the most comic book thing about these movies. The X phone in the car.
No, one of the most comic book things about this movie is Wolverine, like, didn't hotwire a car. He jammed the metal into it and turned it on.
That's so true. And of course, NSYNC plays on the radio, which is great. Yeah. Scott gets wasted in this movie.
Again. Yeah, again.
He gets taken out like a bitch by a bunch of guards.
A bunch of guards, yeah.
Very sad. And then we don't see him until the end. And what Jean
we
Grey
has the nice.
And it's his.
Xavier
and it's
there where he's like, he's like, yeah, it's like Scott. And it's like, no, I can't do anything because I'm in a wheelchair, and he falls over.
Yeah, Scott is the reason why the stupid dam bursts open. Because one of his blasts hits the thing, and so in a way, Scott is the reason why Jean Grey dies at the end. That's some shit. But let me ask you this: why couldn't Jean Grey lift the X-Jet from inside? Why did she have to go outside? Hello?
Hey, sorry. What? Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
No, I was asking Frankie, why did Jean Grey have to go outside to lift the X-Jet? Could she have lifted it from the inside?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was distracted by something. I would say yes. She can definitely do that. But apparently in these movies, she needs a visual cue to being able to lift things up, so she needed to be outside to look at the water and the X-Jet, and I'm like, that makes no sense.
They just needed to find a way for her to die.
Exactly. They just needed a sequence for her to, one, because again, sadly, most characters are wasted in these movies. And because, in truth, this is a Wolverine show featuring Charles Xavier and Magneto.
Yes. Which is a
and
problem.
so you have a sequence where they're gonna have to like pay off that Jean is capable and powerful. But before that, we get only snippets of, okay, maybe there's something going on with Jean. Maybe there's something going on with Jean. Maybe there's something going on with Jean. And then at the end, oh, something was happening with Jean, I guess, and then she's dead. And, you know, she just showcased, like, oh, she was able to lift this thing so high up with her powers and stop a dam from bursting with her powers. Like, yeah, why didn't she just do a lot more? Like, I don't know, take out, you know, freaking Stryker, take out a bunch of dudes, save people. Like, she could have done a lot more, but they, again, because they needed to showcase and pick and choose what the fuck they needed to do, they shortchanged Jean, Rogue for whatever reason she's there, Bobby only for the gay analog thing, and Pyro because he's like, I'm the moody teen, to be opposite of Bobby's, I'm the stand up right dude.
Bobby!
It's just, it is a wasted like moment. It is, I suppose, but I also do love, it's again wasted moment, but also do love the exchange between James Marsden's Cyclops and Sir Patrick Stewart's Xavier, because when Jean takes Xavier's body to like express, like, I have to do this, no one else can. And he's like, Jean, no, and he's like doing it to Patrick Stewart. I'm like, this is great. This is a fantastic moment.
Sad. Yeah, it was pretty sad. You get the Phoenix symbol
I
at the end.
I love you, Jean.
You get the Phoenix symbol in the water at the end. But before that,
Or something.
Yeah, they
something, whatever that was.
They go to the White House and threaten the president pretty much at the end of the movie.
Oh my gosh!
I love that there's
stereotypical thing though.
What's great is this is the only time you see Rogue wear an X-Men outfit.
Yeah,
The
you're right.
only time.
Unless you get the Rogue cut for Days of Future Past.
Well, she's not wearing an X-Men outfit. She's wearing like whatever the
She's wearing an outfit.
She's wearing something, whatever those scrubs were when she was getting.
Yeah,
related.
No, she had a yellow. She had a white suit. She had a white like leather suit. Like she had a actual like X-Men suit, but it was like white.
I guess, but yeah, that was X2. Very good sequel.
X-Men United.
Old suit. Shut up.
and from then on, we will have the full complement of X-Men team: Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Rogue,
Yeah.
I love Nightcrawler.
Iceman.
Sure.
They
we
will
will.
all be in the same team together.
Sure. You tell that. You say yourself. X-Men: The Last Stand. I'll let Jen take the floor on this one.
The Last Stand?
Yeah.
Man, more like I can't stand it.
Ooh, damn.
I mean, I remember seeing this movie in theaters with somebody I didn't like, and
Automatically just has a bad memory attached to it.
it does, and like, this movie could have been so much more than what it was. It tried to be even edgier and darker than the other movies, but it was just forgettable. It was just forgettable. And they wanted Storm to have more lines because Halle Berry complained, and she didn't do anything, in my opinion. Sorry, not sorry.
Oh, she had a fight in that flying house with that speed chick.
I don't even remember that. That's so bad. And all the mutants are just chilling. They're all doing the Michael Jackson walk. And like I said, Juggernaut looked like shit. And then, girl, Phoenix, okay, first of all, she needed Midol. You could tell she was having cramps, okay? You guys wouldn't know this, but as a female, I know that this bitch having cramps. That's why she became fit. Nobody gave her what she needed to feel better, okay? Xavier's just like, it has to be a psychic thing. No, bitch is on her period. I'm not even trying to be mean about it. And then was Angel? What's his name? Angel?
Yeah, there was Angel.
And then
I wrote down specifically in my notes, why is Angel here?
like
Does nothing.
He just
Does
thank
nothing.
you.
Does nothing in this movie. He saves his dad at the end randomly.
Yeah, there were definitely supposed to be, like, behind the scenes, there was supposed to be more stuff with Angel, but all that stuff was cut.
They showed him in an X-Men outfit in the poster.
Yep.
And he never
Yeah,
wears
but
one.
most of the time he had his shirt off, and I'm like, that's not appealing to me.
And he was played by Ben Foster, which is, which has come a long way since that fucking movie.
I believe it. Well, you know what's crazy? You guys didn't know this, or you may have known this. Remember when 7-Eleven had those movie promos with the cups?
Yeah.
And I had all of them. I had all of X-Men 2 and 3 with the cups, and I had every time you got a cup, you got a little piece of a belt, and it had Wolverine, Storm, Kurt, Xavier, Magneto on it, and it made this really plastic belt. It was interesting. It wasn't great. The cups, you know what? You know what's really fucked up? The cups were more entertaining than the movie. Had more action on the cup.
Wow! Holy shit! You went in.
I mean, the only thing that I remember from this movie, even if I rewatched it again, I would not be entertained because the ending fight scene was what they were leading up to. Yeah, it was great. Oh, what'd you do? I don't know.
I wrote Rogue is useless because she goes and gets the vaccine.
Well, again, it's like here, like it's such a weird, because I talked to a friend of mine about like funny, like we always talk about comic book bullshit, and we had a discussion about that moment, like in X-Men 3, where it's weird that Rogue decides to take the vaccine because again, the analog that has been set up for the X-Men in the previous movies was their analog was that the X-Men stand for, or mutants stand for, being gay, like being out, being proud, being gay, mutant proud, all that stuff later on. But it's being gay. So being a mutant isn't bad. You are what you are, and that's fine. But in X-Men 3, the analog shifts from yes, mutants are the analog for being depressed and gay and stuff like that. But it's also the vaccine is also for AIDS. So it's supposed to be so. Are we supposed to deny a person a medical treatment if they so choose to want? And you're like supposed to say no because it's their right to choose to want, something better for yourself. But then you're saying is the cure, the mutant cure is the cure for gayness.
Oh god.
But it's the cure for, say, for example, you had AIDS, so you want the cure for AIDS, right? It's like, yes, I would like the cure for AIDS, but that's not what you're, but it's not it's a genetic, you're gay. It's not gay bad, is AIDS bad, but mutants is gay, but also AIDS.
Oh my god.
We get it, man. You're going into like a loop.
Exactly. So that's the weirdness about X-Men 3, like choice and making the mutant cure, because you can't always put an analog for the oppressed and everything on a comic book level and try to make it into a real world scenario, because it doesn't work that way. You can't make it work 100%.
Yeah.
Because it's not, you can't 100% go like, hey, yes, this is what we stand for. Also, we also may stand for X amount of things also in this, line. Pick and choose which one you want. She wanted to cure her AIDS, and now she's cured. So it's whatever. It's because again, you can't tell. You can, in like real world scenario, you can't go like, hey, I want to not have this thing that's detrimental to me. I want to get rid of it. You shouldn't tell me you're a traitor to our cause. It's like, no, I suck the life out of people, and that's bad. I don't want this. So you're like, true, you you have one of the worst powers to have, like, you know, because you can't have intimacy with anybody. You know, and you want to get rid of that. So in truth, you should be allowed to do the thing that you want to do. So you can't really look at Rogue and go, what a bitch. She's like, no, she wanted to change her life for the better.
Oh yeah,
and it sucks that it takes away her specialness. But yeah, it's a lot of people have like different varying opinions on the thing, and it's always just weird, you know, when they get up to the Rogue part.
Dude, it's some craziness. For your experience, what do you think X-Men should do next? In my opinion, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I think they should just have a TV series. What do you think?
They did. Gifted.
No. Live action reboot of the whole series, just TV.
I mean, yeah, it could work.
Alright. Edwin?
I mean, I'm not gonna say no to it. If they make a live action, like, you know, television series using the X-Men characters, the established X-Men characters that everyone knows, you know, your Wolverines, your Cyclopses, your Jeans. Yeah, I want to say no to that. As long as every character gets to breathe, as long as every character gets, like, you know, as long as I don't see a moment where, you know, Cyclops sad sacks his way to a lake and goes like, "I lost my girlfriend, and now I'm dead." And like, all right, guess Cyclops was worthless for 3 movies.
I mean,
well, okay, go ahead.
No, I still have some stuff to say on The Last Stand.
Okay.
Like, to me, I don't think it's that bad. Like, the biggest problem was that they try to cram 2 storylines into one. The Cure storyline and the Phoenix storyline. And the Cure overtakes the Phoenix one because at the middle of the movie, she gets sidelined until the very end where she goes nuts on Alcatraz. So...
It's crazy stuff. Yeah. Go ahead.
But there's some stuff I like. Like, I like Kelsey Grammer as Beast.
Oh yeah, one of the other fan casts that's like perfectly, you know, chosen.
Get the fastball special. You get Ellen Page as Kitty Pryde. She looks like she's 12 and going to war, which is kind of hilarious.
Love it.
Like a young Elliot Page.
Yeah.
I loved Elliot Page's role. I thought it was a fun movie.
Yeah, I thought Halle Berry did a good job. She's given. The fight at the end.
She's given more responsibility, I guess, in that movie.
Yeah, the fight at the end, you know, it's like the cartoon. You see people using their powers. You see Iceman go full Iceman for the first time and kick Pyro's ass.
You're right.
That was a great moment. Like, there's good stuff in there. Like, I understand why people were, you know, upset, and because it could have been much better. That's like the biggest problem.
I mean, the biggest problem people gotta say is because they utilize the Phoenix storyline, which is again a saga. This is like less than an hour is like dedicated to Jean Grey coming out the water, going like, "I am woman, and I want to have sex with Wolverine," and Wolverine's all like, "I don't know about this right now. You seem crazy." And then, you know, house breaks apart. Black eyes. Xavier dies. Want to come back later. And
fucking Scott dies.
Yeah, Scott dies, never to come back.
Oops.
And then we get the, you know, the giant big, you know, crazy fight scene at the end, which is also it's an interesting bit. I do like how they end the bit in this movie where Wolverine has to withstand the wrath of like Jean's crazy subatomic particle disintegration. And you just see the sequence of his freaking, you know, his bones showing through, and then he stabs her. And I'm like, that's not a bad, you know, usage of this, of what's happening here. But it is such an out of nowhere scenario because, again, the Cure, as you said, overtakes the fucking movie. It's not about Jean's craziness. It's about the Cure. So when it comes to like the end point, it's like, man, this is. You just needed a big set fight, you know, fight scene, and this is it. Nothing else. Like, Brett Ratner should not have directed this movie.
No.
Yeah.
Bryan Singer is known for setting up the Phoenix storyline and then just leaving. He's done it twice.
Yes.
Uh, yo, when that mutant boy, the kid that they used to like get the cure from, he's at the school at the end of this movie, and I'm like, people aren't going
Yes.
to be able to use their powers at this school
Every time
anymore.
I looked at it, it's like, oh, that's why? Like,
Funny.
you keep that kid away.
Yeah, but no, like, there's definitely worse X-Men movies out there, but yeah, this one was a stumble for sure.
I'm gonna tell you one that's really bad. It was actually, to me, it was boring. It was the X-Men anime. I really couldn't even finish paying attention to it. I was like, y'all making. How could you make anime boring? First of all.
Sad.
Use established characters from a different land, and then try to incorporate them into a wildly different Japanese setting. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, not just that, but they made Wolverine really pretty boy. Like, they made him look.
Oh, the Wolverine one is pretty boy Wolverine all the way. Yeah, red jacket, bullshit. Yeah,
But
the
they
X-Men.
made him like, they made him look like a K-pop singer.
Yes, he's so weird looking and tall and always wearing a red jacket. And I'm like, this is some weird Wolverine. The X-Men anime later on, still done by Madhouse, but they had you saw the X-Men all the X-Men together anime?
I don't recall. It's been so long because I was.
Because they changed that Wolverine completely. He's not the same guy. He's like stocky and short and looks like fucking Wolverine. I'm like, yeah, that's Wolverine.
Okay, I'll check that one out again. I'm like, man, you don't do this to me. How do you all do this to me? Because I was like, as an anime connoisseur, this is actually like not anime. Stop.
No, I was thinking instead of killing Jean off because Wolverine kills Jean, and when she gets stabbed, it looks like she's having an orgasm. Why don't?
Which again, he penetrated her. Is what she wanted.
I know. Why didn't they? They should have found a way to give her the cure. That's what I wrote down. No, I'm
It
serious.
would have just disintegrated in his hands.
But
And she kept
just
blasting it.
distract her with like some bullshit.
Like how they did with Magneto.
Exactly, like they gave Magneto the cure, which was smart.
I love he's being distracted on one side and then Beast jumps from behind. Stabs him. He's like, and Magneto's like, "What you do to me? No!" And that's also like a weird issue. It's like you're forcing someone not to be gay. Again, it's a weird. The analogs of the fucking movie are weird.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna agree.
Yeah, there's a useless mutant in this movie that writes without a pencil. Like, what kind of power is that?
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about Kid Omega, who was Quill Boy. He just had quills on his face.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's useless.
Like, they just took names of characters and assigned them at random to CGI models that they were able to use or prosthetics that they were able to use. So the same dude who plays Karnak in the Inhumans show that failed, spectacularly. He plays Kid Omega in the X-Men 3 movie. And it's so fucking funny.
None of it makes sense. I forgot to mention
Kid Omega's supposed to be a super powerful telepath and telekinetic. He's supposed to be up there with Jean and Xavier, and he's able to make psychic guns.
Psychic guns.
I forgot to mention in the last movie that Mystique is always like horny.
Yeah, she's seductive. In the old ones, more so.
And she was also given the cure in this movie too. Shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then Magneto drops her like a bad habit instantly.
Who turned into water? I forgot which movie.
Oh, that was one with
Senator Kelly.
Senator Kelly.
That's right.
And
we also had an instance of multiple man in this movie. Yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah, there's some weird ass mutants with weird powers. There's the kid who can change channels by blinking. Like, what is he gonna use that in battle? How's he gonna use that? Yeah, I know that was.
But again, not all of them are supposed to be like again, the X-Men are always weird because they're like, okay, these 5 pretty ass motherfuckers with combat powers are gonna be the poster boys of our mutant cause, while guy with 3 eyes or the dude with maybe longer arms than the other guy are never to be seen as mutants or in the front line because their powers and their looks aren't the standard of what we're choosing here.
Yeah, in chess, the pawns go first. Which
That means they would have thrown. That means they would have thrown the guy with the three eyes up first, because you don't want to lose the dude who can shoot punching eye powers out of his eyes, into combat if you don't need to.
Fun fact, in this, the end credits or like the behind the scenes, my friend in high school, her cousin was supposed to be Jubilee. They were supposed to have like more scenes with the kids in the second movie, and lo and behold, their name's in the credits.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember Jubilee being in that movie. I completely forgot that was a
they toss her in.
Yeah.
She exists in all timelines of the X-Men universe.
Who?
Jubilee.
She's the one who is like, why is she here? She's always here. Help!
This movie could have used more Colossus. There wasn't enough Colossus kicking ass.
100%. I would have loved to have seen more Colossus versus Juggernaut fight. I mean, you pit the two freaking bruisers against each other. The sequence in the house, like, where all the X-Men are fighting outside, is such a video game level, but it's not shown at all. Like, Storm is doing something, Wolverine's being thrown through houses.
No, that whole fight is
just like, I'm here.
that whole fight is a big cartoon, and I love it. It's so goofy.
So goofy.
But then again, they started
Also,
off.
CGI, first utilization of CGI de-aging.
Yeah.
With Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. Like it's not bad, but by today's standards, you do notice it.
Oh yeah.
You're just like, oh, that's a little plastic looking.
He didn't look anything like a young Michael Fassbender.
I know, right? Oh god. Yoko, before you go, what? Let's talk about New Mutants before you go.
Okay.
So what?
So Demon Bear, tell me.
It was about a girl who was a furry, and she was suppressing her furry needs, and her persona pretty much killed everyone in a trailer park. And apparently, because she's one of the most imaginative furries, and she got the most commissions, they decided to jail her and put her in quarantine. And then she meets her ragtag tale of friends who have different powers. And then her persona just keeps making different type of furry badges that are just creepy pastas. And people don't enjoy it, but, they're like, you're not a bad person. You're just scared of just accepting the fact that you are a bear furry and you... How accurate was that?
Pretty much. I mean, I like the New Mutants because it's a very small story. There's only like 5 characters. That's it. And
yeah, it wasn't how should I put it? It wasn't a crazy storyline. It was very, you went from point A to point B. And I didn't realize it was supposed to be a horror film.
yeah, and they wanted to do reshoots to make it even scarier, but they never got a chance because of the Fox buyout. But
I didn't know that. I just knew that they took too long with it.
yeah, but on its own, like I still enjoyed it. It felt like Degrassi Mutant High.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, it was very entertaining. I don't know why people didn't like it. I don't think it was
It's not an action. Well, it is an action movie towards the end, but it's more of a drama.
Yeah, but it definitely didn't feel like a Marvel movie. It just felt like it was a fan film to me.
Yeah, well, it was a spinoff. So it doesn't feel like your typical X-Men movie. I mean, they do name drop the team. But as a whole, as I said, this first movie was very small scale on action, and this one is sort of that as well. So it kind of comes full circle for the franchise.
Yeah.
I just hear that it's like a sour and down note to end the franchise that has lasted almost like 2 decades. Like from X-Men 1 all the way, and New Mutants is like the last rendition of these characters we'll ever see, and it ends with, hey, and now we're gonna join the X-Men, who we never see. and weird stuff of people people like again I only know like the bare bits of like the movie, and that's the the whole X's Foundation. So there's not they're not being trained by the X-Men school. They're being trained by Mr. Sinister, or a faction of Mr. Sinister's fucking like department, and they want to like utilize them in some way. Like Danny's whole bit with like the Demon Bear stuff. In the comics, it isn't the way it is here. Like it is, she doesn't manifest a demon bear. The demon bear is a fucking alien that she has to take care of. Like that she has to like deal with.
No, the demon bear here is like her spirit animal.
Yeah. Also, the whole thing about there are two bears inside of you. The one that you feed is the one that wins. People go like, that's an old Indian proverb. It's like, no, it's actually some shit you found in the internet 2017. No American proverb is this.
Oh, they found it on the back of a Snapple cup.
Exactly. It's the bear. It's not like you could have used an actual Native American proverb, but you used the one that you thought was real, and it isn't.
People believe it. I mean, it's funny you say that. I have a whole book of Native American folklore stories and totems, and now once that pop up.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing. So yeah, also the utilization of most of the characters. I love like characters in comics. I love these people. Like Wolfsbane, fucking Cannonball, Sunspot. Yeah, all cool characters. But also freaking Magic, freaking Ileana Rasputin. Yeah, I think that's her name. Ileana.
Wolfsbane is an animorph.
I like the
yeah, she comes thick with what is Russian accent. But yes, bro.
I'm strong, X-Men. I'm not that thing, but I'm strong. I'm
powerful. And then she has Lockheed, and she has, which is normally a Kitty Pryde thing.
That's what I thought.
He has a Spyro bird. Spyro. Huh? The bird looks like Spyro.
A Spyro dragon?
Yeah.
It's a dragon. Which is supposed to be an alien dragon. It's supposed to be a dragon from space.
Not another dimension.
Not another dimension, no.
And
it's a dragon. It's a dragon that Kitty Pryde befriended in space.
Nice.
So, and then this movie has a gay romance.
Oh yeah, Wolfsbane and
Danny.
Whatever her Danny. Yeah.
That got me because I was like, oh, this is too real. This is what there's a lot of gay feels there.
Yeah, which I heard is, again, not seeing it, which I heard is actually well executed. And I'm
that's cool. Very well executed. I mean, a lot of times it doesn't end well, but this one was just, it felt like Degrassi. And Degrassi took like, they weren't playing around, you know what I'm saying? They really, it's like they actually asked teenagers, like, how did you feel about this scene? Yeah, that happened to me. Okay, we'll put it in the movie. That's how it felt.
They even have a scene of them watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Willow and Tara kissing.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's like all they watch at that place. Yeah, it was decent.
Yeah, the one that plays Wolfsbane is a fantastic actress. She came from like Game of Thrones, also like Doctor Who stuff. Freaking like Maisie Williams. I forget how to pronounce her name.
Maisie Williams.
But Maisie, yeah, it is. But yeah, she's freaking great.
I put that the Doctor is a Trump supporter. I don't know why I wrote that. But yeah, anyway, Yoko, if you gotta bounce, we'll take it over from here.
Yeah, continue. Enjoy, my friends, and we love having you on.
Thank you, Yoko.
We'll talk later.
It's her birthday next week.
Yeah, it's my birthday next week. Birthday. I'm gonna live stream. Edwin's gonna be VIP. You're gonna put a martini on top. It's gonna be great.
All right.
Catch you later. Enjoy, guys.
Later. All right, man. Let's fucking dive bomb into X-Men Origins. So this movie has 3 beginnings. There's him as Baby Logan, with his little bone claws, and then you have the fantastic montage of all the wars, which that should have been the movie. I think we agree on that, right?
Yeah, that's like the first origin. And in truth, yeah, I was gonna say, like, after you said all of them, that the only good one is the
war one.
like the war one. The only good one is the premise that we never get, and that is Wolverine and Sabretooth through time fighting every modern war we've had, and we don't get to see that movie.
No, it's sad. And then the third beginning is when they're with the team. You got fucking Deadpool there. First appearance, Ryan Reynolds.
I say that's the second beginning.
Oh, well, hold on. Wait. No, the war came after that, right? Or was it before?
No. The kid and the war stuff, I say, is one beginning because it leads right into the next one.
Oh, okay.
Like, sure. The second one would be the
team.
The team with Wolverine fighting alongside, Agent X, Agent Zero, freaking Deadpool, Sabretooth, whoever else is it. Frank Dukes, freaking the Blob.
The Blob.
And all.
The light bulb man.
Yeah.
What's the light bulb man?
from Lost.
Yeah.
And freaking not T.I. I was about to say T.I. Wrong person. That's Ant-Man. What the fuck is homeboy's name?
will.i.am.
will.i.am. Thank you. will.i.am. That's freaking maybe Nightcrawler's dad at that time because First Class didn't come out yet.
Who knows? But yeah, that's another one, which is probably the best action in the movie, honestly, especially Deadpool. And then the third one,
I think that was the laziest. Most of the action in this movie's lazy.
Yeah, it's. I would have to say, like, I think out of all the X-Men movies, this is like the bottom.
Yeah, and I'd say the third opening would be Wolverine as a lumberjack. That would be just him starting his career off with, starting his life off with
that one chick,
Silver
Sable.
Whatever her name is. No, not Silver Sable.
Silver something.
Yeah, Silver something.
Whatever. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this one. This movie fucking sucks. I got bored watching it. I think it was like my third time watching it, and it's just a whack story. Like, they fake her death, and the whole movie is just Wolverine trying to find Stryker. But I will say, go ahead.
No, what were we gonna say?
No, I will say, damn, what's his name? Shit, the guy who plays Sabretooth.
Oh, freaking
Lee Schreiber. Yeah, he's great as Sabretooth. Fantastic.
He's the best Sabretooth.
Absolutely. He steals the movie for me.
Also, her name was Silver Fox. I just remember that.
Silver Fox, yeah. Yeah,
but yeah, the movie itself, like, honestly, is not great. There are so many flaws and holes that you can pick at it, sure. And I still say the best movie would have been showcasing Wolverine and Sabretooth at odds as brothers through war, and then meeting several characters in between that.
Of course.
But having it go from point A to point B so jarringly, like, he has 3 restarts in the fucking movie.
Yep.
Like, just going from, okay, I'm gonna become a soldier, to I'm now a soldier that doesn't want to be a soldier, to, and now I'm a lumberjack. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Just pick one and start from there. Don't start at all 3. Like, it's just so weird. And having another weird Native American proverb of, the Wolverine howled at the moon because he couldn't get it. It's like, did you forget Wolverines don't howl? Wolverines aren't wolves.
That whole story of the Wolverine was just such a lame way to get his name.
Another. Hey, we heard this is cool and it sounds folksy and rural and has maybe mythical meanings. Like, no. You heard a bullshit story that someone threw out in a fucking bar at one time, and you thought it was gospel. Like, this is a stupid way to say this name. He got the name Wolverine because his girlfriend told him a fake story one time, and then he's like, "Don't put my name on these dog tags. Put Wolverine."
I literally wrote down I wrote down, I fell asleep during the Wolverine story.
Such a stupid bit. And again, also like in all the facets, Wolverine believes his girlfriend's dead. One, again, he has many ways to tell that she isn't. One,
Yep.
she had no claw marks.
Two,
you can literally smell blood because of your fucking powers. Three, it was blood in a bag, so you can instantly tell that blood wasn't fresh, like in comparison to warm human blood that comes out of a person's body.
Also, whenever that happens, the fake death trope, don't they bury these people?
Yeah. Normally, you don't leave a body behind to be disproven.
Exactly.
Like,
Wouldn't you bury her? Like, that's your girl.
yeah, you lead him to make conclusions. Like, that's what you do. You don't like him legitimately find the body and go, she's dead. It's like, what? And then the romp of him having to go like, I can't beat my brother Sabretooth because he's so much better at fighting than I am.
Oh,
so
please.
I have to go to Stryker to get metal bones so I can then hunt down Sabretooth again to fight him.
And then the Weapon X scene looked cooler in X2 because it was all green and gnarly looking.
And also because, again, you had the mystery of what the fuck happened. Here it's, he chose to get metal bones because he couldn't win in a fight. What?
Yeah, he broke his claws. He stepped on them.
Yeah.
Which
That's
probably
why
hurts.
that's why I do enjoy later on when we get to it the rebooting and the rebooting of that sequence. Things has changed later on when we get to
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. That sequence is now different, and I'm like,
that's the scene they should have shown in this film.
Exactly, but because they didn't know how to write this movie, and no one told them, hey, it's fine if you make it a war piece, or but I guess there wasn't a budget for it. They just had to do a budget movie with how much was this movie? Shit, I gotta figure this out.
You look it up. I'm gonna say the fight with the Blob was dumb. The fight against Gambit was dumb because Wolverine, he's literally
this movie is $150 million.
It does not look like it because the effects suck.
Yeah, which I always find funny when someone goes like, you know what the effects look like in this movie? It's the effects. It's like the director went, you know what? I sort of have, I sort of know how freaking After Effects work and how 3D works. I mean, let me try doing it.
Yo, remember this? You remember the scene where he's like cutting down the fire escape?
That's what I was gonna bring up. Like, there's so many lazy sequences in this movie. When Deadpool in the beginning of the movie is twirling his fucking double swords and he's just cutting bullets that are aimed only at the swords, I'm like, that is dumb. When Wolverine is now causing a fire escape to literally be deleted as he cuts through it, it's fucking stupid.
Oh, it's so bad.
Gambit serves no purpose in this movie.
He's fan service.
He is fan service for the people who wanted to see Gambit but are disappointed that Gambit was in this movie.
Yeah.
Even though I like Taylor Kitsch, the guy who plays Gambit in this movie, I like that dude. He's cool.
Yeah, he is.
But it sucks that he was given this role to do nothing with.
Yeah, and I think he played the part decently. Like, he was a decent Gambit. He could have I just wish he was in a better film.
Agreed. Again, like this movie is just like a series of errors in it. Like, again, when they get to the point where Wolverine finally gets to the island to find Stryker, having to find Gambit who escaped the island. I'm like, this is such weird fetch quest fucking bullshit that's happening in this movie. It's like playing a video game and you're being told you have to go here to find the information you need to go here. To find the more information to get here.
Speaking of which, the fucking video game was awesome.
The video game was awesome.
It was the best thing to come out of this movie was the video game.
And the funniest thing about the video game is the fact that they were again told, hey, make a video game. Oh, the X-Men Wolverine movie is delayed, so take more time. Because the movie was delayed, the guys who were doing the X-Men game went, oh, we can do something more. And so they remade that game to the game that exists.
Nice.
Before it was going to be just a paint by numbers bullshit following of the X-Men Origins storyline, they went, let's add the Days of Future Past intro mission. Like intro shit, like the movie sequence with Wolverine.
We fight the Sentinel.
Exactly. Let's add the regeneration effects of Wolverine in the game far better than it was. We're gonna add. They retooled that whole game to be the hit points of that movie, but with more. Like, and it became everyone who played that game was like, "Yo, I can't wait for X-Men Origins Wolverine 2 the game."
I know, right?
It leaves you with wanting more. Unlike that movie.
I know, that game was sick. It was great.
So sick. I was waiting for it. I was like, yo, I can't wait for them to freaking go add the Days of Future Past level stuff. Let's get to freaking Wolverine 2, where he has a long hair and he has some freaking messed up X-Men suit. But no, none of that.
Sad. Very sad. So I wrote down, Stryker controls Deadpool on a computer in the 80s. How does that work?
Computers in the 80s, man. They were like computers in the 90s were.
Right?
Just,
Yeah,
like
Wi-Fi and shit.
Yeah, like military computers were powerful, and they weren't applied to civilian use until way later. But they're not like as powerful as what we have like today. So it was like, oh man, 180 gigabytes was the best shit in the world.
How did you feel? How did you feel when you first saw that fucked up Deadpool?
Oh, I was disappointed because again, that was the biggest series of errors. You
so gross.
Casted the dude who wanted to be Deadpool and had a mouth, and they took the mouth away, and you're like, what was the point? Like, why did you cast Ryan Reynolds, who wanted to be Deadpool? Because I will always remember this. During the time, there was a comic book Cable and Deadpool that was coming out, and Deadpool makes an offhanded mention that he looks like Ryan Reynolds if he was crossed with like a Chihuahua or something. Oh. And that's where Ryan Reynolds, like someone sent that to Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Reynolds was like, "That's awesome," and then started reading Deadpool and went like, "I love this character."
Wow, it's funny how these things turn out, huh? It's kind of like the Nick Fury thing. Like they modeled him after Sam Jackson, and then Sam Jackson ended up playing Nick Fury.
And they also paid him a lot of money.
Oh yes, they did. All right, what else did I write down? I'm like, why is Cyclops here?
Yeah, there's a young Cyclops. There's a young Emma Frost, or a young White Queen, who is also the sister of Silver Fox. It's fucking stupid. It makes no
sense, especially with the next movie. Emma Frost is in.
Again, there's a young Charles Xavier who still had his legs at the end of that, which also makes no sense by timeline standards.
Yeah.
Because that moment's supposed to be a little bit before getting Jean, so it's like, when the fuck did he lose his legs?
Yeah, this is when the timeline rips start to happen.
Yep. You get the back-to-back sequence with Wolverine and Sabretooth go like, we have to work together to fight this guy.
Oh my
Only
God.
Together can we stop him. I'm like, this is stupid.
Literally looks like a dumb video game boss fight. Yeah. And all this stuff, like, they're getting cut up and you see no blood, which is frustrating. Yeah. At least, like, if this movie was, like, rated R, it would have been more interesting to look at.
Yeah.
But,
they also use like weird things. They're on 3 Mile Island, which is now they actually went through a nuclear fucking fallout. So they're trying to say like the events here is the reason why the island was fucking the way it was.
Yeah.
Silver Fox telling Stryker to walk and keep walking until your feet bleed.
Yeah. Before that though, what does Stryker do? The adamantium bullet. Let's talk about that.
Adamantium bullet. I love it. He'll just regenerate, but he won't regenerate his memories. I'm like, how do you know that?
No. I wrote down the exact quote. His brain may heal, but his memories won't grow back.
How the fuck do you know that?
How does that work?
I mean, to be honest, probably does. I don't fucking know. I haven't had a fucking part of my brain like chopped out and then reinserted.
But
I can imagine like the neural pathways won't be the same, but you should still something like they're stored as like energies, like it's like synapses. So I don't know how the fuck it works.
Yeah, and then in
But it's
Logan,
just,
an adamantium bullet can kill you in Logan.
yeah, because he learned in this movie that an adamantium bullet can go through his adamantium skull. So technically, it can kill him if he's shot enough.
What, like point blank?
Yeah, they shot point blank, and he's not young, so technically the bullet would just murder him. His healing factor doesn't work anymore.
Sure. Let's go with that.
I mean, that's the only reasoning until he shoots the other Wolverine, who's younger, and then he just dies, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's a big ass hole in his head.
The thing is, I guess it's a different caliber bullet. Maybe it was a fucking shotgun shell. I don't fucking know.
All I gotta say, R.I.P. to the Smallville family on the farm.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was thinking about that. Yeah, that Wolverine gets the Superman origin story. He meets Ma and Pa Kent,
Yes,
and this is the origin of his jacket
And that's when we see those.
and motorcycle.
In that scene where we see those hideous looking claws in the bathroom.
Yeah, hideous claws in the bathroom.
Which
Ma and Pa give him a leather jacket that so happens to be the Wolverine jacket and a motorcycle, so he can ride away and never care that he got that family killed.
It's such a stark contrast because in the first X-Men movie, he has this really cool reveal with the claws, and then in this movie, he fucks around in the bathroom and cuts off a sink.
What is this? What is this?
It's like the opening to Superman 3. It's so goofy.
Yeah.
Alright, let's move on. let's dive into First Class. What you think of First Class, man?
I like First Class as a movie to reboot a franchise that had and uses no Wolverine except for that one sequence where he goes fuck off and then they leave. Like I was like,
oh, best cameo ever.
Yeah, best cameo, best uses of Wolverine, and I just like the James McAvoy does a good young Professor Xavier.
Yes.
And because I always enjoyed their certain sequences where they show like a young Xavier in the comics or even in the cartoons when you see him like still walking around and being Xavier, he's a dick. He's such an arrogant prick, and I'm like, that's cool. I like that you kept that going here. He is an arrogant prick, and that's an underlying factor of Xavier. Xavier has always been an arrogant prick.
Yo, but he's like a pimp in this movie, yo. The way he be picking up these women with, the eye line.
Well, yeah, you have a secondary, you have a blue eye. You know what that is? That is a mutation. And
yeah.
You should fuck me. And they're like, yeah. Xavier is such a prick and such a fucking highborn asshole. But I do love his rendition of the character because it gives you a nice contrast of what he was to what he becomes, and that's cool. Like he thought being mutant, and he thought he was cool, and he had all these freaking great powers. He looks fantastic, wonderful hair. He makes Mystique always look like freaking Jennifer freaking Lawrence. You don't look blue, look like Jennifer Lawrence. That's better. He outs people without them fucking knowing. When he fucking when he meets Hank McCoy, he's like, it's great, you have a mutant on the tab. He's like, dude, you just outed him. That's fucked up.
Yeah, man. He blows up his spot.
He blows up his spot, and I loved everything there. I love how he's a good formation of a team, and then then also Magneto's Eric Lensher's freaking becoming the guy, becoming this filled with hate, and you understand it.
Yeah,
and it's so good. It's such a good in the first section of the movie. It's done well, and you get the pain of him being ripped from his family, and he's trying to hold on to that freaking metal bar, and then he gets fucking gun butt to the head, and you understand the implications of what that scene means, and being in Auschwitz. And knowing that his family was probably murdered and put to the gas, but then here we get the same sequence just told a little bit different.
Yeah, you see
So-
a follow up to that scene immediately.
Exactly. We just told a little bit different because we never see the follow up of that moment. We just assumed, again, Auschwitz, his family gets gas and stuff like that, and he survives. But here we get his mother was taken, and then freaking Kevin Bacon with the silliest mustache of all time comes in and goes like, "Hey, you want some chocolate?" And then freaking shoots his mom in the head. And then that's makes him go crazy. Again, the funniest sequence of that moment is that Magneto goes nuts. It's using powers everywhere, and he doesn't kill him. I'm like, how the fucking did you get out of this?
Yeah, that's very weird that he didn't kill him right then and there.
Yeah, I understand you have powers and kinetic energy, and you're able to absorb concussion force, and then that makes you durable and strong. But you're just sitting in a chair, so you had no concussive force yet. So technically, Eric could have thrown a freaking metal shard into your fucking eyeball, and you would have died. But it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And freaking the Magneto goes 40 years like wandering around bars and go like, "Hey, do you know this guy?" And then murdering Nazi sympathizers or guys who ran.
Oh man, that scene.
And that's a great scene.
That scene with the knife, where he's like tosses it, brings it back, and then stabs the dude in the hand. That is sick. And
it's a great scene. I would have loved just seeing a movie of freaking Nazi hunter Magneto.
Well, this was originally supposed to be X-Men Origins Magneto.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they realized, oh shit, the Wolverine movie sucked. Let's just do a fucking X-Men origin story in general, which was a genius idea because I feel like
characters.
Yeah, I feel like this is like a classic X-Men movie, not just because of the time period. But
I love that it's set in the period, like it's a period piece, so it's set in the fucking like
the 60s.
60s, right?
Yeah.
So it's awesome that it's set in the 60s, and I love again you get characters like Banshee, Pixie, freaking
Angel, Lady Angel, yeah.
No, that's later. Angel shows up in freaking
No, this girl, the girl with the wings, her name is Angel too.
Oh yeah, her name is Angel in this movie. She's Pixie. She's her actual comic book name is supposed to be Pixie. That's okay. Yeah, they named her Angel here. I completely forgot that. But you got her,
Azazel,
Cyclops' brother. Oh yeah, Zazel.
Darwin, best mutant ever.
I was gonna bring him up later because they do Darwin so bad, and it's such a
first of all,
choice.
Yeah, first of all, in the original trilogy, there's like no black X-Men at all, except Storm.
Just Storm.
Yeah.
Just Storm.
So we finally get another one. We're like, cool, we get a black X-Men. They fucking kill him.
We get Darwin. Darwin is, and also and Pixie or Angel is also of mixed race. I forget what she is, but she. I know she's in white.
Well, she dies off screen in the next movie.
She dies off screen. Yes. But the shittiest thing is the fact that they choose to have Darwin in the movie. The most.
Yeah.
Epitomal character to have. His character is he adapts to survive, which is what mutation is. Mutants, mutations happens through millions of years of evolution to make us adapt to survive. We're mutants no matter what. But the fact that Darwin adapts to anything to survive, and they choose to kill him instead of making him adapt to survive is fucking stupid.
It is
because
dumb.
They go, hey, his whole bit is that I can become super tough, and I need to be, if I can stand a chair, I can breathe underwater, I'll grow gills. In the comics, he literally is gonna fight the Hulk, and then he disappears because he's like, you can't win against that thing. So he literally teleports. He teleports away because his powers just kicked in and went like, they're instinctual. They go like, well, you can't win that, so you're out.
That's funny.
And then they even up that further by going like he fights Hela, death itself in the Marvel universe, and the only way his powers were able to justify him being able to fight her was to make him into death, another death, in order to combat her. So that's the level of his power. He's able to become God if need be.
Holy shit. Yeah,
So
and then they did him disservice here, and they had a line where they say, "It's like, what do you guys want to be, enslaved?" And they immediately show Darwin.
immediately look at Darwin.
That is so bad.
And again, this is a Nazi telling this to a black dude.
Yeah, but yeah, Sebastian Shaw is the character Kevin Bacon plays, and I think he's a badass villain. I thought he was great, especially for that time period.
Yeah.
He's like a James Bond villain but with a mutant.
That's technically what this he has his underground fucking submarine with a lair inside of it.
Yeah, and then you see the Hellfire Club, which is really cool.
It is weird. He's I like him as the villain. He's one of my favorite villains so far in the X-Men franchise. But yeah, it's just like the end bit is really good when he's like, I'm gonna use all these nuclear bombs to pump the world, and then those who survive will be he has the apocalypse train of thought. The weak will die and the strong will survive, and those who are strong will follow me. And I'm like, that's a good section. It's fine.
Yeah. The reason I feel like this is like the classic X-Men movie is because you get a fucking montage scene. You see the band get together.
Yeah.
You see the black and yellow suits. You finally get some color to the outfits.
Blue and yellow suits. You finally get them.
Yeah, you get introduction to Cerebro, the X-Jet. You get all all the staples of classic X-Men lore.
Brothers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I kind of like retroactively wish this was like the first X-Men movie, but instead you had people like Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman. Like, throw us like the original team.
Who are the original team? It's just not used the right way.
Yeah, it's like this is like how it happened, but it's just a different lineup, which is not bad because I still like the mutants here. Like, it gave me X-Men Evolution vibes, and
also one of the best sequences. I forgot the sequence where X-Men Evolution is great. I didn't want to cut you off. Yeah. It's a great cartoon. But one of the best sequences, because we keep mentioning like all the really good sequences happening in the previous movies, is a scene where Sebastian Shaw infiltrates the compound.
Yeah.
And Azazel just picks off everyone by teleporting them into the sky, and they all fall to the ground.
Yeah.
Like, he's just killing dudes by making them fall from really high up and splattering to the ground. And then all the soldiers shooting Shaw, and Shaw just absorbing all of it and then taking everyone out. Like, that's a good sequence.
Yeah, but even before that, I was gonna say, it's just, you see the X-Men just chilling, like they're having a good time, they're drinking, they're giving each other like their names, and we don't see that a lot in the X-Men movies where they're just hanging out, having a good time. It's always about the mission, and that's what I like about this movie. You actually, because they're young, they're teens in their early 20s, you see them having a good time, and I want to see that more if when the MCU reboots them. I want to see them hanging out and chilling. It shouldn't always be about the mission. It's not just a great X-Men movie. I feel like it's just a good movie in general. Like, you could show this to somebody who never heard of the X-Men before, and I think they would still have a great time watching it.
Yeah, I do not disagree.
And it has an amazing score with the guitars. Like, I downloaded some of those tracks back in the day. The finale is great, where they're in Cuba, the whole missile crisis is happening, and then you get the bromance between Charles and Eric.
Yeah, Charles and freaking Magneto get to actually build a friendship, which is devastating when it ends.
Yeah,
like, it's really good. Like, that them, like, one, Xavier finding someone of like mind in terms of will, and Magneto learning to try to let go of like the hate and just find the happiness, and it's like working through that moment, that forged a good friendship between them.
Yeah, that's probably like
the sequence when he sees his his mother is his memory with his mother and the birthday cake. I'm like, that's good. That's actually a good moment.
That's a
good sequence.
That's an awesome scene. That's definitely one of the higher ups in the whole franchise. That scene where he's unlocking that memory and he's moving the satellite. That is some good shit. Like, First Class is very underrated.
Yeah, better than him going like, alright, take this gun, shoot me, and I'll deflect the bullet.
But yeah, so in the beginning, he tells, Sebastian tells Magneto to move the quarter, and he can't do it. Well, then he shoots his mom, and then he's like moving everything. So at the end of the movie, the best full circle moment is when he uses
and I'm gonna move this coin.
exactly, he moves it right through his skull, and you see it in slow motion.
And you see it through Xavier's agonizing because he's holding Shaw in place.
So he's feeling the pain, right?
Yeah. He's feeling he can't let go of Shaw because if he does, they lose. So, and he can't take control of Eric because he's now wearing the helmet. So he knows if he lets go of Shaw will get out, kill Eric, and they lose. They'll lose everything. So he has to hold him in place. And because he's holding him in place, Magneto is able to push the coin through his body. And then when he pushes the coin, he's feeling the agonizing pain of a bullet basically going through your head. So it's like, that's an awesome sequence. Like cut between two. It's like, that's cool. That's why he's yelling in pain.
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the best like deaths in like cinema, I think. It's so badass.
And then he's shot in the back, and he's like, "Oh, I can't feel my legs.
No,
I can't feel my legs."
Yeah, they play it off kind of. It comes off unintentionally comedic because he keeps repeating it, and the camera's like pans off. Like, I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs.
I can't feel my legs.
But don't worry, he has like a super serum to like have him walk again.
Drugs.
Drugs.
It's the 70s, hippies, man. Drugs.
I was questioning how they got off the beach because the X-Jet was like in flames.
I mean, he just figured, like, made them see what he wanted them to see. He's like, you guys come here, pick us up, and no questions.
That's true. I forgot OP Charles Xavier, man. But yeah, First Class is the shit. It is a great film. No complaints. We do get that weird. It establishes that weird connection between Mystique and Charles, which is kind of random.
It's a weird relationship because, again, the timeline bullshit is what makes everything weird. The premise of First Class was to show the origin story of how the X-Men got formed. So he would eventually become Patrick Stewart. However, that means that he knows Mystique, and then when Mystique shows up in X-Men 1, they have no idea who the fuck the other guy is. Yet, what we're supposed to know is that when she was a little girl, she tried to steal food from his house, and then he took her in like a pet.
Oof. Yeah, it's very bizarre. That was a weird choice, but it's more important in Days of Future Past, obviously. So I guess they knew where they were going, and they were like, okay, we need to set like this roadmap here. But I don't have a problem with it. Like, I like Jennifer Lawrence. Jen is notorious for hating Jennifer Lawrence, but I think she does a good job as Mystique.
I mean, she does a good job, but the problem I have with like the movies is just like how I had a problem but the problem, I shouldn't say, but is a problem for the movies is that when you focus centrally on one character, it's that you start losing the other, like everything else of the movie. So when the first batch of movies were all about Wolverine, the second batch of movies starts becoming about Mystique.
Yeah.
And it starts rolling around them. But it's funny because when you go through all the movies, you're like, Jesus, I wish there was a little bit more breathing room here than having to, fall back on what's going on, the face of the person that you think the audience needs, to follow. So
yeah, it's definitely a problem throughout all these movies, but we'll return to that. Then after this movie is the Wolverine in Japan.
Yeah, the jarring movie because it sets it back to the modern timeline, but just right after X-Men 3, which I enjoy. I like the fact that it was right after X-Men 3, and so there were consequences to the actions that happened in that movie. We don't go through all of them, but at least we know Wolverine did stab Jean.
Yeah, it's canon, guys. He stabbed the shit out of her.
Yeah, it's canon, and I like that because of that. Even though, like I even talked to when I talked to a friend of mine, like at the end of X-Men 3, it was a happy ending. It was like, hey, we won. They survived. The president's like everything's cool. Wolverine steps out of the doorway, and as the camera zooms out, he has his hands on his hip. And he's like, it's a good day, and then and then the X-Men. I mean, then the Wolverine teaches us that no, Wolverine has been having night terrors because he killed Jean, and now he's became a hermit and doesn't want to kill anymore and lives in a fucking cave. And I'm like, that sounds like Wolverine. That's exactly what Wolverine would do.
Yeah, he gets a great intro in this. Yeah.
The Japanese sequence where he's in Hiroshima and the bomb is about to drop,
yes,
and he's just being kept in a fucking tunnel or in a well. Is a good bit.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
I do find it funny that they cowed him at all. And he has his bone claws, and he's like, all right, you gotta give me, and doesn't know Japanese. That's the funniest thing about Wolverine in this movie. Doesn't know a lick of Japanese. So he's been fighting World War II. He's been caught in enemy lines. Doesn't know how to speak to anybody. So he's like, they're going, hey, buddy, hey, you gotta get me out of here. The dude's about to commit fucking seppuku, and he's like, freeing the prisoners. Like, we're all gonna die anyway, so get the fuck out of here. And the guy's like, I can't. He's about to try to cut himself. Wolverine's like, fuck that. Throws him in the well, covers him with the metal part, and suffers so many burns. But I would have won he's still irradiated. That dude should still die from cancer.
Yeah, my thing is if I'm still thinking he has amnesia. So how does he remember the Japanese dude from World War II?
Right. You should have amnesia.
The adamantium bullet. Did the adamantium bullet reveal those memories? I don't know. That's a silly little error. It's not a big deal, but
it's not a big deal, but it is such a you forgot everything, right? You should not remember this. I did what's her name? Who played?
Was it Yamiko?
What was it?
I forgot her name too. The Asian kick-ass girl.
Yeah, because she's
great.
Someone Wolverine adopts later on.
She's great. I would love to see a movie with them just traveling the world kicking ass. She's awesome.
Oh yeah,
Yukio, there it is.
Yeah, because the other one is Mariko, the one he bangs.
Well, what I forgot to mention in the X-Men Origins thing, that's when they first established Wolverine has this fear of flying.
Yes.
And
no, he had a fear of flying in the X-Men 1.
Did he mention that? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't like being in the plane.
Okay, never mind. So, forget what I was gonna say. But yeah, I like that little tidbit that he's afraid of flying, this badass dude is just afraid of being in a plane. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, they just gave him the BA Baracus from freaking 18.
So that's that's the only thing consistent in his universe is Wolverine is afraid of flying. So yeah.
The Wolverine is a really good one. And James Mangold, the guy who directed the movie, James Mangold, is fantastic because he went from this movie to Logan, so yes. He loved his work. And the Wolverine is such a well shot,
it's beautiful,
looking, beautiful movie until you get to the end, and I'll get to that later.
Oh yeah,
the end part. I'll get to that in a bit. But everything leading up to this movie, the sequence where Wolverine wakes up after having a night terror, and then about Japan actually, and then
Jean
goes
is
out
there
and sees the bear. Yeah, Jean's it. But he goes out and sees the bear, and him and the bear just nod at each other, and he's like, "That's cool." Then he goes off. Then he comes back, he sees something happen to the bear, and the bear is has a poison tip dart or arrow in it, and he's just moaning and it's about to die. And Wolverine has to put it out of his misery, and he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to take a life. But he's no matter what I do, someone has to drag me back in. So he goes to the bar, finds that dude who's gloating. He's like, "Yeah, too bad, bear. He came right at us." Mm-hmm. And Wolverine's like, "You see this thing?" Jams a fucking arrow in his fucking hand.
Yeah.
Pours the freaking the alcohol. It's poison tip. Now it's gonna be all the shit. He's about to waste everyone in the room until Yukio shows up. And I'm like, that's a good sequence. I like this. I like this version that he has going on with Wolverine.
Oh yeah, the movie
And
is.
then when he goes, huh?
Yeah, the beginning of the movie is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's perfect
When he
Wolverine.
goes to Japan, he's really cool. I love that, Wolverine in a different setting. And this, like, any true diehard Wolverine fan knows Wolverine in Japan are like, like this son, they're like freaking tight. And it's always been like this is like the thing. But it's just so weird because again, he doesn't know Japanese. It's such a weird bit that he doesn't know the language. And for as long as Wolverine in Japan has always been a fucking thing. But I enjoy the fact it's such a weird. The setup is weird. He goes to Japan because of, the guy he saved in World War II is dying, and for whatever fucking reason, he wants to give Wolverine something, and Wolverine's like, I don't really fucking remember that dude. You know how long ago that is, but
Yeah.
I do sort of remember, so I'm gonna go just because I don't want to be here.
Well, he has nothing else going on. It's like, why
He has
not?
nothing else going on, so he just doesn't want to be there. So he goes to Japan to see this guy he has not seen in over 70 years or some shit. And he, gets the shower scene, gets his hair cut.
Yeah, that shower scene is hilarious.
And then he sees the guy, and the guy's like, I want to give you what you want most of all. He's like, what the fuck is that? I'll give you the ability to die. And I'm like, that's an interesting premise.
Yes.
And nothing's ever expanded upon it. It's just, I'm going to give you the ability to die.
Logan never asks
how's
his
up?
how does this work?
Never asked him how. Never asked him how the fuck he's going to do this. And then the thing goes on. He's like, no, fucking thanks, but no thanks. And then he fucking walks out, and then Lady Viper, another thing that, it's like, I don't know.
Fake ass Poison Ivy.
I really don't know why. You don't really need you as a guy. It could be anybody. I don't know why it has to be Lady Viper. And then she poisons him to make his healing factor not work. Because we have to make Wolverine
vulnerable.
We have to make this movie have stakes, because if Wolverine can just heal from anything, technically anybody he's fighting doesn't fucking matter. So if we make his healing factor lessen, we can then make it look like he could die at any time, which gives the movie a priority, which he uses in fucking Logan. But it's a good bit. So when he goes and he wakes up and freaking the guy's dead, and everyone and their mother should be like, well, he's clearly not dead. He's gonna come back later. It's funny, and the whole thing. People were chasing after fucking Mariko for whatever fucking reason. Freaking Shingen, the actual Silver Samurai, played by freaking Hiroyuki.
Yeah, he's dope.
Sanada.
I call them Japanese Hawkeye.
Yeah, he is dope. He's also in freaking the Mortal Kombat movie. But he is awesome as this character, and awesome as his play. And then later on, when they have to have the big sword fight, I'm like, that's cool. And I love that he doesn't fucking back down, knowing full well that man's gonna kill you. But that was good. That was a good death. But everything leading up to that big Wolverine having to take Mariko on the train, the freaking bleeding out, the freaking Love Hotel.
Yeah, let's talk about that hotel room. They get the Mars suite, and I'm like, I would love to stay in that room. It looks so dope.
So good. And we get another sequence with Frankie Jansen, and we get another Jean, which is another good bit.
You know what Jean's role in this movie was? It was the same role the Joker played in Arkham Knight. Showing up.
Always in your head. Yeah.
Just showing up to taunt him. Like, you suck! Look what you did! Yeah. You killed me!
So when you finally get, at the end part, when Mariko gets taken while they're in that, in that fishing village, is the same place where he was in the well.
Well, hold on. My thing.
The bomb went off.
My thing is if they kidnapped her, right, and they were sleeping together, why didn't they just kill him in his sleep?
She woke up earlier. She woke up earlier, so she was outside when she gets kidnapped.
Oh.
Well, yeah, she was outside.
Well, hold on.
He wasn't next to her.
Hold on. That scene, when they're, before they start making out and shit, he tells her about Jean. I killed this girl, and then she's just totally cool with it, and they proceed to cuddle. I'm like, what?
She's cool with it in the way that she understands. She treats him like an animal. And that's technically what they're trying to portray in this movie. He is a beast, but she can see that there's something that he has like a soul and a heart, and that he's honorable. He's an honorable man. So when she sees this honorable man, and he knows that she goes like this, he's in pain. She's like totally all right with him, like being like sleeping with him because she is treating him with reverence. So it's not like she falls in love with him. That's not what happened. It's like she's treating him with reverence, and she's fine like sleeping with him because that's her show of appreciation, which is weird, but it's what's happening in that sequence. Like he is whatever about it. I don't think he falls in love with Mariko, but I think he's like, this is happening.
Yeah, it's like, why not? Your pen's up. You need some release.
It is weird, but it's such a it's supposed to be a level of she has an affection towards him that isn't love but respect, and I'm like, all right. So when it happens, I'm like, whatever. You sleep with people you don't love, it's fine. And when he finally goes off and like throws that dude off the balcony and like throws him into the pool, because the pool's there. He's like, nope. That's pretty funny.
That's another great scene.
Oh yeah, we never forget talking about fucking homeboy. What's his name? Will Yun Lee, freaking who plays Harada. The freaking that's the Japanese Hawkeye.
Yeah, he should have had more of a bigger role in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, you know who that dude was? And this is gonna take it back to a lot of people from back in the day who was used to watch shows on fucking TNT. He was in Witchblade, the series.
Wow, that's a throwback.
Yeah, that's a fucking callback from like back in the fucking day. That poor ass TV show. So
yeah, like up until now, the movie's still going strong. Like it's still going strong.
Even the sequence when Wolverine finally gets to the village and fights a bunch of ninjas.
Now,
and throws a bunch of them into a fucking weed whacker.
Hold on.
Pelted with arrows.
That is only in the unrated version of the movie, my friend.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
In the theatrical cut,
the only version.
Yeah, that one, the unrated is far superior because the theatrical cut, he gets to the village and it cuts to him when he's running and they're shooting arrows, the rope arrows at him. And the whole premise of having Wolverine in Japan in the first place is you want to see him fight some fucking ninjas. Correct?
Wolverine versus ninjas is a staple of fucking Wolverine
comics. Exactly. This is what we came here to see. But in the theatrical cut, you really don't get that.
You don't get it?
You get it here.
You get some dudes on the train. You fight. You just see some Harada, maybe. But yeah, not really anything.
And so finally, you don't get the Wolverine versus ninjas unless you watch the unrated cut, which is kind of baffling to me.
Yeah. But I will always say that the sequence itself, and I've mentioned this to you, the sequence itself is cool. I like it. Except for when he's shot with arrows and he has his arms all the way to his side, like up and like stretched out. And I'm like, why aren't you cutting fucking ropes off?
Exactly.
More ropes are being thrown. Like you should be
cutting the ropes
arrows while cutting arrows off you, but you're still being hit with more arrows. So you do eventually fall, but you're still fighting back against all that shit. And here his arrows are just stretched out. He's like, and I'm like, dude, no one runs like that. No one. Even if you're fucking being held back, you wouldn't be running. You'll be struggling, pulling your fucking arms forward, trying to run forward, but he's not doing any of that. Something like that.
And I think it's safe to say from this point on, this is when the movie starts to fall apart. Yeah,
this is where the plot and the grand scheme is finally revealed.
Yeah, just get to it, please.
Yoshida is revealed to not be dead. Shocker.
He's in a giant robot suit.
He's in a giant silver samurai armor mecha, and he explains to Wolverine his evil dastardly plan, which was, I want to steal your healing factor through your bone marrow.
Wow.
And everyone who heard that line was like, what?
It comes off as a giant Scooby-Doo moment. Like, ha ha!
Yes, a giant Scooby-Doo moment.
That was me.
That's the funniest bit, because Yoshida, the Silver Samurai armor has giant samurai heat blades, which are able to cut through adamantium. So Wolverine gets his like one of his like bone like both of his bone claws like fucking cut off eventually. I mean not bone claws, but adamantium claws cut through, and you see the bone claw inside of it, which is a good bit. I like that the fact that there was the bone marrow and the bone claw is sheathed inside of those knives. No idea how they became knives because they were fucking, bone claws that were just jagged spikes.
Yeah.
No idea how they just came out as fucking knives after he got the fucking surgery done. Because no one took out his thing and started sharpening them. They were just fucking knives.
Anyway, yeah, when he got those, I think when everybody saw that when he got those claws like cut off, everybody like winced and was like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!"
Yeah.
I mean, they explain it. They explain that a heated adamantium sword can do that. I get it, but it's just seeing it happen. It's like you're taking away Wolverine's manhood. That's what it felt like.
Well, yeah, that was him getting circumcised. But the funniest bit I love that I hate about this movie is when after Wolverine gets free, he says one of his hands still has his claws, but he's fighting Yoshida in his fucking mech suit, and he drops the fucking adamantium sword. Because Harada decides to be fucking honorable and try to fucking stop him and gets killed because of it. Because I was like, why don't you just stick to the shadows, bro? Why did you just show up and get fucking knocked to the side and die? It's like, just stupid. Anyway, Wolverine picks up the giant, oversized novelty samurai sword. And he's like, come on, man, turn on. He's like, I don't. And he's like, 2 hands. That's right.
I learned something.
And he holds it with 2 hands and activates the fucking sword. And I'm like, wait a second. You telling me it just needed 2 hands? It's holding it with a fucking robot hand. It needed 2 hands? What?
The whole third act is just so silly.
And then, of course, he gets caught. Lady Viper gets thrown off. Her neck snaps, but then she takes off half her fucking skin, and he's like, I'm fine.
Yeah, she
then
sucked.
Her neck snapped. Then she gets killed.
Yeah, she
then
sucked.
Wolverine is fighting, freaking Yoshida, and then he gets thrown off, and he's like, gets the adamantium being, taken from him, and he's like, slowly losing vitality. Then his granddaughter stabs him with the thing, and then Wolverine does, of course, the greatest line when he comes back. He gets his Sea Defender comes back. He rebuilds his bone claws.
Yeah, that was cool.
Stabs the mecha and goes, sayonara, bub, and then throws him off the side of the fucking building.
Well, that's how you do a one-liner. Take notes, Storm.
Take notes, because that's the only thing I liked about that fight.
Yeah, man. I really don't know why they didn't just go with the traditional Silver Samurai.
Well, they did, technically.
Well, yeah, but he should have been the antagonist.
Yeah, he should have been the last fight. It should have been between those two, but they wanted to do the superhero thing, and they needed to use the CGI, so they made a giant Silver Samurai fucking mech suit with an old man, and went, haha, my evil dastardly plan is that I wanted to have your youth. And I'm like, okay.
It's something you would see in Fast and Furious Spy Racers. Because there is a guy in a mech suit in that one. But overall, I mean, I feel the same way I feel about like Wonder Woman, the first one. It's like, I love the first 2/3. Great stuff. Third act kind of falls flat for me.
Kind of falls flat. And of course, we get the little tidbit at the end where Wolverine's trying to go back to America. And not the deleted scene, even though that's funny, they show you the Wolverine costume.
Fucking deleted scene they should have kept in the movie. Where he gets the costume.
But it's when he's trying to go through airport security.
Yeah.
And then everyone stops. And then Wheel shows back up.
No. Well, first is Magneto. And then
first is Magneto. And then the wheelchair comes rolling in. And he turns around. And it's Patrick Stewart. And you're like, wait a second. Weren't you disintegrated? And technically, shouldn't you look like someone completely different?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that that post-credit scene in Last Stand where he puts his consciousness in a comatose patient. But no one gives a shit about that. Even the writers don't give a shit about that because they never, ever explain how Professor X just comes back in his original body. Never.
Well, the theory is that he's making everyone see him look like Xavier when he in fact looks like someone else.
Sure. I mean,
But the thing is that I will always say is like, okay, so you implanted your consciousness into a comatose body. Fine. That body's not a mutant.
exactly.
That body doesn't have prophetic powers.
There you go. There you go. But we can make a whole episode about the timeline and plot holes of the fucking franchise. We're not here to do that. So yeah, we get the lead up to Days of Future Past. Sentinels are now a thing, even though they've never been discussed ever in these movies.
Well, that's because time has changed.
The timeline changed. Yeah, but I call this one a X-Men Endgame because they're literally just going back in time, trying to rewrite history, save their ass.
I mean, it starts cool. I like the premise that is Days of Future Past and the X-Men, the mutant race, and humanity has been enslaved by machines because just like Skynet, no one learned not to make fucking smart robots.
Yeah. Okay. Are we talking about the original version, or are we talking about the road cut?
I barely remember the road cut, so I'm just gonna stick to the original version.
The big difference in the road cut.
I've seen both. I just don't remember the road cut.
No, it's not that different. The big difference in the road cut is there's a scene where Iceman, Professor X, and Magneto, they go rescue Rogue. She's in Cerebro. That's why they can't reach her telepathically. So they rescue her, and Iceman sacrifices himself so they can get away. And Rogue takes over for Kitty because she gets slashed. She gets slashed by Wolverine at some point, and she just takes over. That's basically the only difference in the cut. You get Iceman dying a little early, and you get Anna Paquin having screen time.
Yeah.
But other than that, the movie is basically the same. There's an extra F-bomb in the road cut, but who cares? But yeah.
But yeah, like the movie itself, I enjoyed it. I like it a lot. I like the beginning sequence. I like older Wolverine with the gray hairs, and they're all wearing somewhat tweaked versions of their costumes.
Yeah,
and I like that.
See the faint colors.
There's a little bit of yellow and blue on Wolverine's costume, which I like more.
Yeah, man, this movie, this came out 2 years after the Avengers, and I think they knew. I think they always wanted to do this movie, but after seeing the Avengers, they were like, okay, we need to do this movie. And it was a very smart move to get the original cast from the original trilogy, and then do a story with the first class cast. So you have that good balance, that good mashup. And the beginning scene.
Barely. Most of those characters, especially Havoc and them, are put in military use.
When I say the first, when I say the first class cast, I mean McAvoy.
Yeah, it's McAvoy. Fassbender.
Yeah, Beast, Mystique, Professor X, and Magneto. Everyone else dies off screen, which is kind of lame, except Havoc. He has one scene, which is okay. But
with Toad, there's the new version of Toad.
Yeah, it's fan service. These movies have weird fan service. You'll see Remy LeBeau on a computer screen. You'll get Rogue with her white streak. There's weird fan service in these movies.
Hank McCoy will be in a
on the TV in the background in a bar. But yeah, man, I thought Days of Future Past was awesome. When I revisited it, it's
solid. I said, I think it's solid. I like the fact that they also recasted Boulevard Trask because Trask was casted in the original X-Men movie by Bill Hughes.
Yeah, he went from a big black man to a little white man.
to a little white man from Game of Thrones. So it's funny. It's funny to see that. That's hilarious. And it's a solid movie. I enjoyed how it works. I do find it funny that they decided to use Wolverine instead of in the comics. It's Kitty who goes back in time instead of Wolverine.
But they gave Kitty time powers in this one.
Yeah, they gave Kitty the ability to shunt your mind backwards through time. And only because Wolverine's mind can heal is he qualified to go backwards in time.
Well, it kind of makes sense, honestly.
It kind of makes no sense.
Oh, you don't think it makes sense.
Just like adamantium bullet to the head, his mind may heal, but his memories won't. He's like, all right, so doesn't that mean the same should apply here? Your mind will be disintegrated while you can't remember shit? Like, it's the same, whatever.
Yeah.
I do like that they're showcasing more of the bone flaws. Also, I think this is the Wolverine and the sequence in Days of Future Past is like the most buff Wolverine has, Hugh Jackman has been.
When he wakes up in the 70s?
Yep.
Yeah.
When he wakes up in the 70s and he's just like butt naked, and I'm like, that is a buff Hugh Jackman.
You get Wolverine ass. I mean, it's the 70s, man.
He got shot by a couple of dudes, and they're like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, no, what do you think? He sees a random woman in his bed. He's like, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, I love the 70s aesthetic. Like, you know me, man. Like, I'm a disco guy. So I just love the fashion.
Nice, and he got his big collar. He got his nice jacket.
Yeah, I love the aesthetic, the music.
Doing a bunch of hippie drugs.
Yeah. He fucking visits Xavier, and he's a junkie. He's like, I can walk above... He's like, I can walk.
War is happening that much. I'm only taking drugs to walk. I don't care about my powers.
Well, you know, if you had everybody's thoughts in your head, wouldn't you want to take drugs to get rid of that shit?
I mean, if I had the ability to control it like he did, I wouldn't give a shit.
The voices... I mean, it really contradicts the ending of First Class because he finally opens the school, and then you go back 10 years later, and it's like, oh, nobody's there.
I think he said that they were a team, but I think he disbanded when like the members died, and and that's why he started taking pills because of the failure of losing, of the failure of having lost. So I think that's what happened to him. Like he tried to dream and it didn't work. And I love that Xavier from the future is like, oh yeah, this was the lowest point of my life. Like, ooh, oh shit, I fucked up.
He's
and I would have said, no, wait, so what snapped you out of it? He's like, that's a good question, because in that timeline, you did.
It's a good question. It's like, in the original timeline, how did you get out of this funk?
Exactly. Like, what pulled you out of the depression?
That's the thing with time travel movies. It's like, you just kind of have to ignore that voice in your mind saying, like, well, if this happened, well, how did this happen in the original timeline? You just have to, like, ignore it.
Just like when I look at the Flash every time, and I'm like,
oh my god, let's not. Let's not.
What happened to Barry?
Let's not even go there.
So like, that whole basically will.i.am.
Oh, so the basis of this movie is that the Sentinels are coming, and they can, like, take over the powers or absorb the powers of the X-Men. And I was thinking, like, wasn't that Rogue's ability? Like, how's that Mystique's ability?
Well, it's a combination, because that's what I thought it was a combination of the fact that the Rogue's powers was like a basis for their later on for their Sentinels who absorb abilities and use them. Mystique's power is that because she is a changer, the Sentinels can then adapt and change abilities to fit all abilities.
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
Her DNA is shape-shifting, so they can shift into anything.
Yeah, but where do their powers come from, though?
Yeah, their powers come from Rogue's ability to steal power.
Yeah, but
so each one can have a separate power.
I feel like it's never explicitly said in the movie, though.
It's never explicitly said in the movie, but each Sentinel had like a specific power, and then with Rogue's genome, they became ability to adapt to formulate all power.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense in the Rogue cut because she's being experimented on, and they were saying, yeah, they're using her power to like enhance the Sentinels, but of course, you wouldn't know that in the theatrical cut because her part gets cut. But yeah,
the movie has some wonky stuff. I do love the 70s aesthetic. I love that later on when they get Magneto and the Quicksilver, of course, the time in the bottle sequence with Quicksilver is great.
How does Wolverine know Quicksilver?
He knows him in the future.
Okay, so he met him in the future.
Exactly. That's what he says. I know a guy, but he'll, like I said, he's a younger man here, so he knew him in the future. So that means his future self had to have told him, I lived on this street, and
I know.
My mom...
Yeah. It's
also,
just...
his little sister's there. So his little sister Wanda.
No, that's not Wanda. They reference Wanda in the
Wanda.
No, they reference Wanda in the road cut. They're like, "Hey, go wake up your sister," and she's like, "Nah, she's mean." But anyway, I like the road cut better than the original cut. But they're both basically the same story. You just get a little extra scene of action. But yeah,
Magneto gets a better suit.
oh my god, yeah, Magneto's suit in First Class. I wrote down he looks like a freaking usher for a play. It's so bad.
Red coat, cape, that painted helmet.
The pajamas.
The newer helmet and newer suit he had later on is a lot better. I do like that he goes rogue basically and goes like, I'll just kill Mystique. Fuck it. He's like, no.
Yeah, that whole scene in Paris is great, where they're like scrambling.
I love that Wolverine.
Wolverine has a panic attack. Yeah,
Wolverine. He's like, oh fuck.
And that's how Kitty gets sliced because he's having a panic attack. Because he sees William Stryker. He's like, Stryker again. Play a different actor. Ah.
Played by a completely different actor.
But yeah, this whole movie is basically like Mystique's show. Like, this is when they realized Jennifer Lawrence is a hot commodity. We need to make a story revolving around Mystique. And this is what we got.
Hunger Games had been out at that point, so she is a household name at that point.
Yeah, so it makes sense that the story is basically like revolves around her, and they want to stop her from shooting Mr. Trask, because that's how the Sentinels are unleashed. And it all checks out. It's a great story.
I do like the design of the original Sentinels. They're just giant vacuum cleaners, or
they look closer to the ones in the comics. Not as tall. Yeah. They're purple.
I like the one. They're purple. Yeah, the ones in the future remind me of Nimrods, which are like the more advanced Sentinels.
Oh yeah, the ones in the future are actually scary looking. They did a good job.
And of course, we didn't mention that was also the showcase of so many mutants that all died. Bishop, Blink, Iceman, of course, died. Huh?
They at the end they killed Storm and Bishop back to back. I'm like, how are you gonna kill two black X-Men in one scene?
Black X-Men get killed at the exact same time. That's
bullshit.
Not a hate crime. Magneto gets fucking murked.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like where the all is lost moment is pretty good.
Yeah, it's jarring to see characters like you grew up like watching at this point for like 14 years get killed. It's so like the first time Iceman gets killed, they cut off his head and they step on it. I'm like, oh no.
I like that when he's melting and he's like, you see his like arm melt and he's like freaking like almost coming to like the bone. It's like, oh.
Yeah, they set a good they set up the stakes really well. Like, you really feel for them. You really want them to like get through this, even though.
And then, of course,
even though, realistically, the moment they sent Wolverine back in time should have been the end of the future timeline. It should have been over like that.
They have to hold until he does the thing. He's still in place.
Happen in real time.
Technically, happening because Kitty hasn't keyed from there, so time hasn't moved linear. But whatever. I do. And then at the end of it, everything ends, and Magneto's doesn't kill fucking the president, and Mystique becomes the hero of mutants, of mutant kind, because she was just there. The end sequence where Wolverine is shunted back to the future, and we're back at the school. The school's rebuilt. Oh yeah. Cyclops is alive again. And Jean Grey is not dead. Storm's alive. Again, Rogue is like in class and she has her powers.
She's with Bobby again.
With Bobby, the whole this is the idealistic future. Like, this is the future where everything turned out cool. Like, everything's cool. Yeah. Everyone won.
Everything is cool.
Everything's cool.
Everything's cool for like 6 years.
And, 6 years because of Logan. Yeah. But before that, the funniest thing about that whole sequence is that Wolverine wakes the fuck up and goes, "What the fuck just happened?" So he walks out, he sees Xavier, and Xavier's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He's like, "Wait, what the fuck?" He's like, "What do you mean, what happened?"
No, he's like, "Don't you have a class to teach?"
Yeah, don't you have a class to teach? He's like, "Huh?" He's like, waiting for you a long time, my friend. And it's like, wait a second. So you do now understand that the Wolverine you have been with for the past 10 years, basically, is gone. Like, that version of Wolverine that got picked up by fucking Mystique, disguised as freaking Stryker.
Which goes nowhere.
Which goes nowhere.
In
the middle of fucking the bay. And lived out his life through Apocalypse, through all this shit, has now disappeared. Like, that version of Wolverine doesn't exist anymore. It is now the version of Wolverine that had gone through a fucking war and fucking had killed Jean, and Cyclops is dead, and fucking, and you know, and all that shit. He's the one who comes back. Like, that's sort of fucked up. That means he literally killed another Wolverine just so he could be there.
Yeah, you know, we try not to think of these implications, you know, because the more you do, the more grim it sounds.
But of course, we'd also get the end with the teaser for, let me tell you about the times, my friend, especially the bad times. And then we, you know, cut to fucking, I guess, Apocalypse and some dudes on horses.
Oh God, yeah, we're almost there. But yeah, man, Days of Future Past, I think it's probably like my favorite. It's just everything. The stakes are there, the characters are there, the music. You get hit in the feels, man. Like, this was definitely like the turning point. This was like the high, so they had no choice but to go low. It's like, next time, because it's like, how do you top this? You know, it's really hard to top something like this.
Yeah, they thought they were topping it with Apocalypse, you know, one of the big X-Men bad guys.
Yeah, but the thing with Apocalypse, I mean, I guess we could talk about Apocalypse now, is you want to see the grown-up X-Men take on Apocalypse. You want to see the people in the future, that future scene. You want to see those guys take on Apocalypse because they're experienced. You don't want to see baby Cyclops and baby Jean Grey take on Apocalypse. It makes no sense.
Yeah, maybe so. But we got the team. We got Psych. We got Jean. Jubilee shows up, only to be there for the
fucking Jubilee. She gets shortchanged in all these movies.
She gets shortchanged in all the movies, which sucks because, you know, she doesn't get. But we get the other time in the bottle like scene with Quicksilver saving everyone for the X-Mansion after Havoc recklessly kills everyone.
Like, here's the thing, like, why didn't they bring Quicksilver to kidnap Mystique? All they had to do was, like, sick him, and the movie would have been over.
Yeah, that's why you don't do
it. They never explained, like, oh, we're just leaving him behind.
That's why freaking Quicksilver is always sidelined. Whenever, like, the moment shit's going down, Quicksilver is quickly like off the bench, because he would solve everything super fast.
At least in this movie, Apocalypse, they solved his OP-ness by Apocalypse breaking his fucking leg.
Exactly.
They're like,
Like, there's also the CD part in the movie where Quicksilver like says, "Oh yeah, Magneto's my dad," and I should tell him, but he doesn't.
Yeah, that really frustrated me. It's like, you had a great moment at the end where, you know, Magneto's basically the fucking villain of this movie. Apocalypse doesn't do much.
Yeah, Magneto is the one who destroys most of the world and then gets a free pass later.
Yeah, just like that mirror lady in The Flash. Oh, it's okay. You learned your lesson. Yeah, Magneto's like, he's the one that's fucking everything up because Apocalypse gave him, like, steroids to enhance his powers. And I'm thinking, okay, this is Quicksilver's moment. He's going to tell him he has family because he's his son. But he doesn't. So I'm guessing they were going to save that for Phoenix. But they never followed up on it.
Who knows,
I was just like,
who knows where they were saving it for? Like, it's like, you only have so many movies you can probably make a finite amount. You should, like, you know, play your cards when you play your cards.
Yeah, but definitely Magneto is the best part of Apocalypse, bar none. I call him Dad Nito.
The thing about Magneto is that he's the best part of Apocalypse, sure, but it's also because they reuse the exact same motivation in First Class, in fucking not Days of Future Past because he was in a fucking prison cell, but in First Class and in here, and almost it's just so Magneto has family. Magneto loses that family. Magneto then goes crazy.
Yeah, that's the basis for all of his stories. He's happy, and then they just don't mess with Magneto, man. Like, he's fine.
He was fine. He was fine. He was living a life. He was not trying to kill anybody. He gave that thing up. He had a wife. He got a daughter. He was living as a fucking like a warehouse worker or smith. He saved some dude's life. He's like, yo, bro, like I saved you. Don't say shit. And that dude immediately snitched, and that caused everyone to die.
I know, and they even knew to bring like wooden objects and arrows and shit. Like they knew what they were going up against.
Yeah,
and
they went there prepared to fucking go up against Magneto. And Magneto's like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just living my life. You know me. We've had drinks. We've ate at the same place.
all they had to do was tell him like, yo, just move out or some shit. Like they didn't have to like attack him or threaten him. Just tell him to move, and I'm sure he would have. But
because of the folly of man.
Poor Dad Nito. But yeah, Oscar Isaac plays Apocalypse, and it just doesn't look good, man.
I don't dislike the look. I honestly do not dislike him looking at like the way he does his Apocalypse. I was like, you know what, that's solid. I actually enjoy it. The problem with Apocalypse, in my opinion, is that there's barely anything he does.
He's boring.
Like he's bored. That's true. He is bored. He's stoic, and I get that you want to play a Machiavellian villain that's stoic and his actions do more than his words. Yet he does very little action. So
that's why he has the Four Horsemen are Storm, which is a solid choice. Angel with metal wings.
Archangel.
Yeah.
That is the quintessential four horseman character.
Okay, fine. But Psylocke, come on.
Yeah, I don't know what she said.
Olivia Munn as Psylocke.
Which would be cool if they were given more to do.
I think she literally Olivia Munn literally has like maybe 3 lines in the entire film. I don't even think I wrote it down. But it's like, why?
Exactly. She has very, very little to do or say except do wire work frames and jumping clips and shit. And I'm like, eh.
But if
Magneto.
Magneto's the other one.
Magneto, right?
Which of course, yes, great. I'll give you Magneto and Storm. The other two, So yeah, man, they try to go with this, end of the world plot. He has the stereotypic villain lines, we'll bring it down, we will build the world in our image, blah blah. It's just been there, done that by this time.
The biggest problem is again the execution. If Apocalypse did more than what he was doing, it probably would have been a far better movie. If there was if the stakes didn't feel so lackluster, and the fact that you weren't doing anything, but Magneto was doing everything, it would have probably been a little bit better. Because all you have to do is tell Magneto, "Hey, stop it." He's like, "Yeah, you're right. I should stop it," and then your plan falls apart.
Yeah, it's Apocalypse is a huge deal. He's like the Thanos to the X-Men, pretty much.
Yeah.
He is the end game. And
he's the character who the survival of the fittest. He's the one who's like, hell, I'll murder everything in order for that which survives is stronger. That is his whole point. But he has only 2 settings, but it is so it is lackluster. And then the imagery of the end where everyone's pouring on. I like that Cyclops does something. He's doing his afterblast. But when Jean shows up and Charles is like, "Do the thing, Jean. Just
oh god,
end the movie." And she's comes out and does her Phoenix powers, and Apocalypse is smiling. It's yeah, that's what I wanted, and then dies. And I'm like, okay, so the movie tells you the Phoenix powers are actually within Jean all this time.
Oh my god, the specifics of that is just
the
next movie they forget all about that, which is the worst. thing ever.
It is the same fucking dude. It's like the director for the next movie is like the producer of the, or no, the director of the next movie is a writer, right?
I think he was the producer.
Might have been the producer.
But still, it's like the team who works on these movies have got to see the other movies, right? And that's like a huge plot point that happens. Like, this is how Apocalypse got defeated by the Phoenix Force. Next movie, she doesn't have the Phoenix Force. She gets it in space.
He's the writer. The director of freaking Dark Phoenix is Simon Kinberg, who is also the writer of the movie, and he was a fucking producer for a lot of movies. He's a producer of New Mutants. He's a producer of like Deadpool 2. He was a producer in freaking First Class, Days of Future Past. Freaking, he just didn't produce fucking this movie that we're talking about. No, he produced. No, yeah, Mom said he produced all. He produced all. So
Yeah.
he produced everything and wrote this movie, and then just went fuck that plot line we had.
Yeah. It's just the movie's just a drag. It's a drag. Magneto's costume is pretty dope, though. I wrote that down.
Arms?
Yeah, I think that's like his best.
I don't like the helmet.
Okay. What else? I like Scott and Jean. They actually have some chemistry in this film when they meet.
Sophie Turner playing Jean Grey.
Yeah,
Really cool. Yeah.
which is good casting, but again, like to drop the Apocalypse story in this new timeline just feels so odd.
Sure.
But
Ty Sheridan as Cyclops is also cool.
yeah, I like them as Cyclops. You get the black suits. You get the origin of the black suits.
A nice blue costume you got at the end there. Silver goggles.
Yeah, they get their classic costumes for like 2 seconds of screen time. After 16 years, you finally see them in their outfits, and then they don't even use them in the next movie. Great. Wolverine shows up just to have an action scene.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention the Weapon X facility sequence where Wolverine does the freaking the escape.
Which is good. Which is good, but it's like did this movie need that? Probably not.
No, probably not. But it is a nice tie-in to the fact that the only thing, the bit in that sequence that doesn't make any goddamn sense, or I guess makes sense, is the fact that the manor explodes. Quicksilver saves everybody, but the moment the manor explodes, fucking homeboy, Stryker has been like, we've been waiting all day for this, baby. And then they all show up in cars and arrest everybody. And then freaking...
Yeah, that was weird. Were they waiting for the building to explode?
They were just waiting for it to go down. Anything that was going to go down, they were just waiting for it to happen. So they just show up immediately.
I know.
Freaking, they sneak into the helicopter, they go into the weapon. So again, that sequence right there is like a not needed sequence. Because it's like, okay, there doesn't need to be a military force that shows up immediately after this because they're still dealing with all this other shit with Apocalypse. Yet, a fucking Weapon X shows up and goes like, yeah, we were waiting this entire time to strike. And then that's just to showcase them going to the Weapon X facility with Nightcrawler. New Nightcrawler, because it's not the same Nightcrawler that was like, the wonderful Kurt Wagner. Now it's I'm fighting cage matches with fucking Angel.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
And saved by fucking Mystique, who more than likely is my mother.
Yeah, in this movie, you can tell Jennifer Lawrence is completely on autopilot at this point.
Yep.
She does not care.
She's not in makeup most of it.
Yep, that's another thing. She's like, if I'm coming back, I'm gonna be in makeup for like maybe 2 scenes. That's it.
And then we get the Wolverine escaping sequence, which has only led to that. And then once they escape and he's done, he just runs out the door and just
bye.
He's like, we're done here. We don't need any more of this sequence.
If you wanted to have Wolverine in the movie, make him a horseman.
That I honestly would have expected that.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, if out of anyone who's been a horseman in comic books, Wolverine has been a horseman.
Make him a horseman. Make Professor X a horseman.
You chose Olivia Munn, Psylocke, to be. I would have wanted her to be part of the team Yeah, Psylocke's a great character.
Yo, Psylocke.
I
At the end of the movie, she just walks away. She just gets up and
What's
she
what?
walks away. You never see
What's
her
what?
again.
Archangel's dead.
Oh yeah, he's dead.
It's just fucking stupid. But yeah, well, you should have put Wolverine as a horseman, and then it would have been a good bit where, you know, Xavier is trying to you have to get through to him, man. He's a horseman. He's like, no, you got to get out of it.
And that could have been the new way he meets Wolverine in the new timeline. Like this could be his end.
He just broken him free, and then he could have just wandered off.
Yeah.
It would have just been a good bit to have, Wolverine to be the freaking bruiser, the melee. It's like, come on, man.
True.
That would have been dope. I would have said, tell me what's...
They would have gave Wolverine his costume.
Yeah, that's true. Because
He would have finally had an excuse for the costume as a horseman. Assholes. Now I'm pissed off. What else is there to talk about here? I think that's pretty. Oh, we see Professor X get bald. That's how he gets bald.
Yes.
It's still stupid.
We get the boldening of Professor X because you don't need hair when your mind is being transferred through an alien machine.
And Storm's hair turns white, even though we've seen in other movies that Baby Storm always had white hair. Yeah. Let's move on.
White hair started the movie? I thought she had white hair at the beginning. In her introduction.
No, when Apocalypse gives her the steroids, she gets white hair.
I thought she had white hair before that.
No, it turns white.
Huh.
I wrote it down, man, because it bothered me. And
does the easy thing was like, what are you doing with that TV? Learning.
Yeah, and then Magneto rebuilds the X mansion with Jean, because I guess that's all it takes. It's just metal and telekinesis.
Their minds are being instructed, the blueprints by Xavier.
Oh, okay. See, this is why you're here. You have an excuse for like everything I don't understand. Oh, Havoc dies in the movie.
Havoc died almost off screen. It almost feels like it was off screen, even though he was the cause of his death.
It wasn't his fault. He was aiming at Apocalypse, but then they teleported.
Yeah, he came in Apocalypse, but he hit the experimental jet fuel plane, and then fucking everything blows up. But you see that you don't see it disintegrate. You see the thing explode, then it goes to Quicksilver, who runs in, and then you don't see Havoc anywhere. He's just gone. So he had to have died in the explosion.
Yep. And it's just weird how they treated Havoc throughout this series. Like, he was part of the First Class, then he had a random cameo in Future Past, and in this movie, he's the reason why Scott comes to school, which is cool, but then they kill him off. It's like, we want to see them, interact with each other.
MacGyver died.
I don't know.
You know how he plays MacGyver?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Freaking Havoc, the actor who plays Havoc, is the new television MacGyver.
Cool, good for him. I like Storm's costume.
That's good for him, but it's something.
Storm has an accent in this movie.
You do.
And in the other one. So it's like they don't know what they're doing, man. They're just like throwing shit to the wall at this point. She does have a cool costume, and I like the way Magneto kills those guys in the woods with the tag. It's pretty cool. And that's it. Basically, they have Sentinels at the end in the Danger Room. I'm like, they kept the Sentinels?
They need danger.
So who brought them to his house? Like, I want to see that.
Either they're real, or just like how the Danger Room always is, they're holograms.
Right. Yeah. All right. I talked about Dark Phoenix last year with Jen, so you can share your thoughts on Dark Phoenix.
Before the New Mutants, it was the last note of the X-Men. Before the New Mutants finally came out. Dark Phoenix itself is not terrible, in my opinion. I don't think it's the worst movie. It isn't great because once again they try to condense down a saga into a movie, And that's what always fucks over, Dark Phoenix. At least in this movie, it's mostly about the Phoenix and Jean. There's no secondary Cure storyline. There is the alien storyline, but that's always a Phoenix thing, so. It's just the wrong aliens.
Yeah, we talked about the huge plot hole of her getting the Phoenix Force in this movie versus always having it. And
yeah, again, this time they tried to do the comic book origin. They tried to do freaking, she got into space, just like how she got into space, but except doing the, oh shit, my body's fucking up when I'm fucking trying to steer this spaceship into fucking the atmosphere. Yeah, again, a storyline that's like, okay, someone has the power that's back to Earth. Jean, I'll do it. I'll use my telepathic powers to know how to fly this plane into the atmosphere and shield myself while we go down. Wow, Wolverine is standing right there. I go, wait a second, why can't you just beam Wolverine the fucking information how to fly a fucking shuttle, and he powers it down and survives all the way down? It's like, no, I got this for my friends. And then fucking dies and then reborn and it's Phoenix.
yeah.
Here, a similar sequence happens where she's having to divert cosmic rays to her and then becomes the Phoenix. And then she's like, I feel great. Awesome. And everyone starts talking bad about her in a party. She's like, fuck this, man. And everyone's talking bad about her.
My biggest problem with Dark Phoenix is that, well, it's two. It's like, one, we've only known this version of Jean Grey for one movie, so we're not as invested as the first time around. And two, you guys shot your load with Apocalypse. Like, you shot it. So going from that to this, it's just like, who cares?
I mean, it should have, the problem is that it should have been the Phoenix all along. That's the thing. Like, if you're going to do Apocalypse, sure. The next big thing would be Phoenix, yes. It should just be Phoenix. It shouldn't be, oh, the evil is in fact, Jessica Chastain over there. Like, it's like, no, don't fucking make it about Phoenix. Secondly, you're making the freaking aliens just a stand-in for the Hellfire Club. Why didn't you just use the Hellfire Club?
Yeah, and the original ending is going to be like a space battle, but since they heard about Captain Marvel having the similar ending, they were like, oh, let's make it a train battle.
I highly doubt that. I highly fucking doubt that. I bet some motherfucker out there said, well, they have a space battle, and then it's like, yeah, but we have a train. It's like, yeah, I think space is a lot better. They're like, well, we also had a space battle, but we just didn't do it. It's like, fuck you.
I wouldn't say Dark Phoenix is a bad movie, but it's just kind of lackluster.
It's very by the numbers by most of the movie. There's nothing that really goes out of its way. I do enjoy the certain things that again had technically nothing to do with Phoenix, or in its entirety, but killing off Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique. That's a good bit.
Yeah, I'm sure she was ecstatic.
Yeah, but that's a good motivating factor. Like, Jean did something she didn't want to do, and she did it instinctually, and she regrets it. The whole her going to Magneto thing is hilarious, just because Magneto's like, whose blood is it, Jean? And she's like, whose blood is it, Jean? He never says anything.
Well, it's funny because when she kills Mystique, there's no blood on her shirt until she gets to Magneto.
I know, it's fucking hilarious. But then she's like, then has a helicopter fight with freaking.
Yeah, that's
Magneto.
the best part of the movie because it's hilarious.
Because if you just take away any sound or any effects, you just freaking Michael Fassbender go like, ah.
Yeah, it was so funny.
But that sequence, the sequences that I like the most, when again Mystique dies.
The train fight is pretty good.
Yeah, but I'm just saying anything that has nothing to do with the fucking Phoenix bullshit. It's Xavier's whole attitude in the movie is so interesting to fucking see, because when he's trying to be, oh, the president calls us, we gotta go save these fucking dudes in space, and everybody's like, do we? He's like, yes, because we're trying to make ourselves look good, so we have to fucking do what they want. And she's like, okay, whatever. So they go off in space. He gets a medal. Fucking everybody's like, you get another fucking medal. None of these kids get the fucking recognition. It's all about you, Charles. And I'm like, again, he's always been this guy.
But he
So
gets
I like
his
that.
comeuppance when Phoenix uses him as a puppet and makes him walk up the
Yes.
stairs.
Yeah, but before that is when they're in the fucking after they're after the freaking funeral. They're in the kitchen, and Hank's there, and Xavier is just saying this shit, and Hank's like, "What the fuck are you talking about, man? She died because of you." Like, and the girl is like, "Has fun because of you, because of the choices you made." And he's like fuck. He's like, God, it's, he's like, you think nothing's your fault. Like, he's just, and it's like such a good sequence of seeing these two characters that have now at this point known each other for like 40 years, and they don't look a day old.
Oh
But
my
they've known each
god.
other for 40 years or 30 years at this point because they're in the 90s. This is the 90s.
Yeah, that's bizarre. They don't even use any makeup to even make them look older.
Nothing to digitize them and make them look older. They're just there.
The only one that can get away with it is Mystique.
Yeah, yeah. Only one who get away from it. Michael Fassbender should look like freaking
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen at this point. And same with fucking James McAvoy should look more like Patrick Stewart. But they're like, nah, fuck it, doesn't matter. No one's gonna care.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like the people making this movie just don't care anymore. It's like they're doing it for a paycheck.
No, I think they just said no one in the audience is gonna care. And in truth, no one did. No one said went out of the world like they should look a lot older. It's like, nah, fuck it, I don't care.
That's why it flopped.
Like this
movie.
again, this James McAvoy is like, we're gonna make him. Are we gonna digitize him to look like Patrick Stewart? No. We hired James McAvoy to be James McAvoy.
Should have pulled a Looper, had Jorson go to 11 with the prosthetics.
The prosthetics, like, no, fuck that. so then, the whole Jessica Chastain and fucking crazy aliens,
It's dumb.
whatever.
It's dumb.
And the sequence where Jean does make Xavier walk up the fucking stairs like a puppet, that is fine. But then the moment, again, and then that's the sequence right there after that it goes that Jean is a victim because the aliens are the bad guys. And you go like, oh, that sucks. So now we shifted the blame? We shifted the blame now? He's like, yeah, aliens bad guys. She still killed that dude. He's like, alien bad guys, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
She still killed Mystique. Aliens bad guys, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
And then the train fight, and sometimes they're affected by bullets, other times they're not affected by bullets.
Yeah, I just don't know what they would have, where they would have gone.
A fucking murderer.
Oh yeah, which is great. I loved it.
It's such a jarring effect because again, the Nightcrawler we see
It's a pacifist.
is a good dude. He's a pacifist, and he's a good dude. We don't get church-going Nightcrawler in the new versions of the movies. We only ever got church, like God-fearing Nightcrawler from Alan Cummings in X2. But this Nightcrawler is like very much shy and doesn't want to hurt anybody because he's been in a cage fight. He knows the the bad shit about fucking killing people. So he just wants to save. And then when that dude goes like, yo man, the X-Men were my kids' biggest fans, and you Nightcrawler were my kids' biggest hero. And Nightcrawler's like, oh, and then that guy dies, and then Nightcrawler's like, well, guess I'm a murder machine now. All because of this one guy that arrested me and told me that I was his kid's biggest hero.
Yeah, it's tragic. All right. I don't know where they would have taken the franchise after this if they kept going, but
That's true.
I don't know.
My last critique. Again, not the worst movie. I still enjoy it. There was a lot of fun. I still say they should have called the goddamn school after Mystique.
Yeah.
Yet they named it the Jean Grey School of the Gifted after the girl who went crazy and killed Mystique.
I totally agree with you there. It's weird.
Such a weird choice. I mean, yes, I get it. In the comics, they did rename the school to Jean Grey School for the Gifted Youngsters when Wolverine did it.
Yeah. She didn't earn it.
She didn't earn it.
All right.
I mean, yes, he was a sufferer of circumstance, but still.
All right. So, all right. We could briefly touch on the Deadpool movies. I honestly don't have a lot to say about them because they're pretty damn good.
Movies go up.
Huh?
fun movies, go watch them.
Yeah, like Deadpool movies, awesome. I'm glad they made them. If that
If you want to
footage,
see a good if you want to see a good rendition of the Juggernaut, right, Deadpool 2. Also, if you are a big fan of X-Men, Deadpool 2.
yep.
Because you also get the sweet Cable in it.
Oh yeah, Cable's so good. I wrote. I'll just list off some of my notes while watching it. Him and Vanessa relationship goals.
Yeah.
Deadpool's theme song slaps.
Yep.
Oh, we see tits and ass in Deadpool. That's where we get the Stan Lee cameo. It's so jarring to see tits and ass in a Marvel flick. I was just like, oh, because I guess I forgot.
Well, it's still a Fox movie.
Yeah, I was just like, oh shit, titties. Because you never see the superheroes really get down like that unless you're watching like Marvel Netflix. You never see them slap bellies. The closest we've gotten is Mystique and Beast. They turn blue for a second in Days of Future Past, and you almost get it. You almost get a blue.
Matt had sex with people, right?
Who?
Freaking Daredevil.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Deadpool. No, not Daredevil. I mean, yeah, Daredevil. But I'm talking about the Fox X-Men movies or the MCU.
Yeah, no one ever bangs in those.
It's sad.
Technically, Steve Rogers' version.
Oh no, it's sad. Oh, I wrote down this quote from Vanessa. It's a face. When Deadpool reveals his face, she says, "It's a face I'd be happy to sit on," and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's so romantic." Yep. Like my only problem with Deadpool, the first one, is it's basically like a parody on superhero movies and all that, which is great. But Vanessa becomes a damsel in distress at the end, and I thought maybe they're gonna flip it, do something different with it, but no, she's just a damsel in distress, and I'm like, she's too good for that. She's too badass for that.
Yeah, she is. But she becomes a damsel in distress in the first movie, and then she also becomes even worse in the second movie.
Oh
Because
she gets fridged.
A woman in the refrigerator. She gets fridged.
She gets fridged.
She gets killed immediately.
I wrote down the X Mansion looks like a castle. Did they use the same set? Because it looked different to me.
No, the interior probably, but they didn't. It was a CGI shot. It was a CGI backdrop. The front was set, like the opening.
Yeah.
To the doors were real, but the rest of it was fake.
Yeah. We get a pegging scene, which is great.
Yep.
I love how they don't explain how good he is at kicking ass. He's just good at kicking ass. I'm like,
he's good at kicking ass, man.
Yeah, I like they don't explain that.
I think they mentioned he was in the military. They do mention he was special trained.
Yeah. There's a Blade 2 reference, which opens up a lot of questions. It's like, if Blade 2 is a movie in the Deadpool or the X-Men universe, what other Marvel films are there that exist?
Trouble with Babysitting. The first time Thor showed up. I bet that's a movie there.
Yeah. And then they got the post-credit scenes with which actually drops that Cable's gonna be in the sequel, which is awesome. And then the sequel, which I like even more, is fucking awesome. I love Domino in that one.
Yep. Sassy Beats.
Yeah, her superpower is being lucky, and holy shit.
I always love that. That's not a superpower. Just wait. Just wait.
Yeah, and I love the X-Men cameo in Deadpool 2, where they just close the door on him. He's like, where are the other guys? It's like Fox can only afford us, and then you see the X-Men just chilling.
It only seems like Fox can only afford you guys.
That was great.
I did like when he doesn't look like to his right, doesn't see everyone in their costumes, and then the door closes.
Yeah, and then the action's better in Deadpool 2 because he got the director of John Wick in the director's chair, and I love the story for it is Cable goes back in time to stop this super powerful mutant from like taking over. But in my mind, I'm like, the future is fucked anyway, because you got the Days of Future Past future, which sucks. You got the Logan future, which is not that great, and then you got Cable's future, which sucks. So no matter what, the X-Men future is just fucked.
Yeah, I mean the futures are always crazy, but they have to make it work.
I feel bad for the X-Men.
Have to make it work.
What else? She takes out her IUD, Vanessa, for like their anniversary, which again, so romantic. They have like the best like relationship in any of these movies. And it has a kick-ass intro, which is James Bond inspired. I like that. Johnny Storm was supposed to cameo in this film. Like Chris Evans was supposed to like come back as Johnny Storm.
Word?
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. It's good stuff. But I guess they were like, oh, it would have been kind of confusing. I said this would have been over if Wade shot the dude in the beginning. I guess instead of trying to use a knife, it should have just shot him.
Uh-huh.
The Juggernaut theme is awesome. The Juggernaut himself, kick ass. And
voiced by Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that until after the fact. Oh, the X-Force scene is great. Because they were for years Fox has been hyping up this X-Force movie, so you're like, oh, we're finally gonna see them like come together, and then they all get killed. And fucking Terry Crews, Brad Pitt as the Vanisher.
Yeah, the Vanisher.
Oh, so great! I love how Brad Pitt just does these random things. Like he was on an episode of Jackass once.
Oh, work?
Yeah. Yeah, overall, man, Deadpool 2 kicks some major ass. The baby leg scene, oh my god, that was great. And in the unrated version, there's a post-credit scene where he goes back in time, and he suffocates like baby Hitler.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
Oh, he doesn't.
He goes past that. Like when he goes. The sequence is he goes back in time to the maternity ward where Hitler was delivered, and you see his hands go towards him, and then it goes to black. So you for a few seconds you assume he killed Hitler, but then it goes.
He changed
back,
his mind,
and
right?
he goes like, no, he goes like, and he has him up. He's like, we're gonna take you over, and we're gonna find you a nice family, and you're gonna live, and you're gonna be raised good. So he just takes him to a different family.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole bit is just it's like, oh no, it's nurture, not nature. So he's like, we're gonna raise him up. He's gonna become a good guy. He's not gonna become fucking Hitler.
Yeah, I've raised the question: is there a way to kill Deadpool? Because there's a montage of him trying to kill himself. Is there an actual way to kill him?
Much like Wolverine, it's very difficult. The only way you could probably kill Deadpool forever is to throw him in the sun.
True that.
Because he'll just never regenerate past that. Unless you take a little bit of him back. But he's been blown up, shot, head decapitated. He's lost limbs. His heart's been ripped out. He has regenerated because his healing factor, unlike Wolverine's, is better.
Right.
Like he can regenerate limbs faster than Wolverine can regenerate. The only thing is that he still has cancer.
That sucks.
Like, yeah,
cancer sucks.
Like he's kept in check by his healing factor.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, Deadpool's fucking awesome. I wrote that Negasonic looks like a baby Ruby Rose.
I like the freaking Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah, she's OP, man. Like she's really powerful. But yeah, so and
Yukio.
Yukio's in the movie as different Yukio.
Yeah, Yukio's freaking Negasonic's girlfriend. Yukio. It's like, hey Yukio, bye Wade, bye Yukio.
I love the taxi driver who's trying to like be like Deadpool. He's trying to be like.
Oh yeah.
Dopinder. Yeah. He kills the dude at the end, which is nice. All right, so I saved Logan for last because I feel like it might be mutual, but this is probably where the X-Men franchise should have ended. Do you agree? Maybe.
For Wolverine, yeah. Like I don't know if there were no X-Men movies past that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like
Fox.
if you could like it's a good note to end on. It's a sad note to end on, but it's a good note to end on because it's just a well crafted movie.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. It's in the style of an old western. I watched it with my
James
mom.
Mangold comes back.
Yeah, and we finally get R-rated Wolverine, which is way overdue. And I watched it with my mom, and she cried like twice. You know, she cried during when Professor X died, and then she cried when Logan died because she couldn't believe it. Like she didn't think Wolverine was gonna die in this movie,
Yeah.
and it hits you in the
Because
feels.
you never see that coming for most of these movies. You know, the heroes always make it out. No, heroes always find a way. You think they're gonna survive this because they're the main characters. But this is like there's like an Elseworld book. There's like one of those like what if Marvel or the Wolverine the End book where it's like no this is the end. This is their send off song.
Their swan song. Yeah, man, this movie is a classic, man. But I will admit though, the first time I watched it, I thought the Wolverine clone was a little goofy. But having rewatched it a few times, it's grown on me. It makes sense. It's like old man Logan versus his younger self.
It's not even that. Like it is that. It is that. Like that it's Wolverine fighting the thing he's always had been against, like the unbridled rage.
Yeah,
that was his life.
It's a metaphor.
Like that's what. Yeah, the metaphor. I think he has always been keeping in check, and that he can't even go up against anymore because old age takes that away from you, no matter what. So that was the thing he was fighting his whole life, and then when he finally is met face to face with it, he's now a feeble old man who can do nothing about it. So when he had to juice himself up to fight it, he couldn't even beat it. So. It was it's like an all-encompassing thing of his life that he couldn't even overcome. So when he gets fucking speared into a fucking tree, and freaking X-23 freaking what's her name? Shit, I'm forgetting her
Laura.
name, like the actual name.
Laura.
Yeah, Laura. Freaking distracts him and he like takes the gun and shoots him in the goddamn head. He's like, "Yeah, we're done here." He's like, "Fuck it, I'm done here."
Yeah, man.
And he's like, "Yeah, man, that's good."
Yo, X-23. She was the best.
Yeah, love that little girl. She did a freaking fantastic job doing that playing that character well.
I know, and I'm surprised I haven't seen her in another movie since.
She did do that darkest, what was it? It's called like Darkest something. It was like the Golden Compass movies.
Yeah.
It was like some of that. It was with Lin-Manuel Miranda. Like it was a show that was on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
she was like heading in that show. Like it was like I don't know if that has another season or not, but I know she was in that first season.
No, I'm glad she's getting
She's like one of the main characters.
Yeah, man. So the saddest part of this movie is the implication that Professor X killed the X-Men.
Yep. And a bunch of people in Westchester.
Yeah, it's never like explicitly said, but it's heavily like implied. Like that's what happened.
Later on, originally, it seems like it's being implied that Logan killed a bunch of people until we get to the point where Xavier had an episode, and then we learn that a similar episode happened in Westchester, which caused many dead, and then you learn, oh shit, it was Xavier that killed so many people. I mean, I knew it was Xavier at the beginning, but they were trying to imply a certain thing, and they were trying to somewhat imply a certain thing in the beginning because Xavier's like, I know what you did, I remember what you did. And it's like, oh, okay. I guess you're trying to say this, but I know it wasn't that. So, it is cool. I did like it. I like Xavier. I love Patrick Stewart when he's just being silly and being a silly old man. He's like, okay, dude, it's like, it's like sticking his tongue out to Logan. He's like, we have to help her, Logan. She's like you.
Oh, man, Patrick Stewart is so great, especially, this is a serious movie for the most part, but there's a lot of great gags, like where she's riding on the little pony.
Yep.
And when he's taking Professor X to the bathroom. There's some good gags in there. But yeah,
and again, it's fucked up because thinking about it, yeah, Xavier caused that family to die. That family that took him in because after they get all their horses brought in and. He's like, you can say, yeah, come over to eat food. And Logan's like, no. And he's like, Logan, come on, we should do it. What's the worst that can happen? He's like, yeah, they can all die, man.
I actually wrote in my notes that Wolverine gets another family killed, but you're right. It's actually Professor X's fault.
Yep. Wolverine wanted nothing to do with that. He was like, no, fuck this.
He knew better. He knew better from X-Men Origins.
It's a great bit. Everything that happens there is good because again, this is Wolverine's life. No matter what death follows him. So yes, he feels to blame because he did agree to do it, but it wasn't being pushed by Xavier. But when he gets everyone, he beats those guys and kills those people. But his wife and that dude's wife and family is dead. And he has a shotgun to Logan's face and he pulls the trigger and it clicks empty and he falls to the ground. I'm like, oh, that's fucked up. That is a sad fucking end.
Yeah, this movie's rough, man. It's not a movie I would watch over and over again. I have to be in a certain mood to watch this one.
And then when freaking Wolverine finds the kids and freaking Laura and all of them, and they're all hidden away, trying to go to Canada, trying to escape to Canada.
Yeah,
to find
that whole third act. That whole third act is the best, especially when Logan takes the super serum and he goes.
Before that. When the kids freaking shave his beard and give him the shops, I'm like, stupid. They're like, yo, man, now he looks right. He's like, they shaved your beard, man, and give you just the mutton chops. You old.
Yeah, I love when he's always just bickering with Laura, and Laura has to drive the car, takes him to the vet. They have really good.
When he's trying to cry, trying to say something about Xavier, over his grave. That's a good bit.
Yeah, they have really good chemistry. The girl they casted for Laura.
It's I don't understand you. Minnesota, Jackie, Minnesota.
Yeah, that scene.
I'm like, that's fucking hilarious. They're like, I can't understand you. This is just comic books.
Yeah. I wrote that when he's watching the video about the mutants being trapped in that facility or whatever. It's very well edited because there's a voiceover.
She took her time. She got all this footage. She edited down, added voiceover.
I was like, this is dope. She made a YouTube video.
How did you get cameras in when they were doing that surgery on her?
I know. So they cloned her from Logan, right? Did they put
this? No. In this? No, actually,
they didn't clone her. They had a woman take Logan.
Much like in the comics, that's how she was. She was birthed by a person.
Okay, so she was birthed. They used Wolverine's DNA.
She has Wolverine DNA, so she's half Wolverine, but she was birthed. They genetically modified the DNA they used and implanted that onto a woman who gave birth to a little girl who was basically mini Wolverine.
So when she was 10 years old, they put adamantium in her?
Is different than Logan. What they did was, because again, if you put adamantium into a little person, their skeleton won't grow anymore. What they did was they surgically extracted her bone claws and then coated them with adamantium and then surgically reimplanted them into her.
Oh, so it's just her bone claws that are adamantium, not her entirely?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, that's how it is in the comics, that's how it is here. Because again, if you add adamantium over her skeleton, she's not growing anything. She's just going to be a little girl forever. So.
But yeah, man, this movie kicks ass. It should have got a bunch of Oscars.
Yeah, the end bit's great. I love that the scientist who was working on the freaking Weapon X is trying to talk to Logan. Logan's like, shoots him right in the head. It's like, I'm done here.
Yeah, it's like he's heard all this before.
Yeah, I don't need this. Also, homeboy who played the dude for the Marauders with his robot pieces.
Scott Eastwood?
That wasn't Scott Eastwood.
Oh, it looked like him.
I'm trying to remember that dude's name. No, he's not Scott Eastman. I know that.
Oh, the bad guys I could do without. I'm like, they were whatever.
No, I liked him, but let's see, Pierce. Yeah, Pierce. Boyd freaking Holbrook, Boyd Holbrook. He was Pierce, but when he gets killed, it's fucking hilarious. Because all the kids find him and they just freaking just pelt him and he gets strangled by plants.
Yeah, I love I love the kids taking out the soldiers. It's a fucking great finale. Great finale. And then when Wolverine actually, his death scene, he's holding Laura's hand and it's a callback to like the Wolverine where Yukio said, I had a vision of you dying with your heart in your hand, and that's what she meant.
It's because there's two things that is happening. He's holding her hand, there, and also he says, "Oh, that's what that feels like." When he says that at the end of the movie when he's about to die, which is one, he can say that he feels like, "Oh, this is what that feels like," or two, this is what this is what love feels like. Because he started feeling like this is his daughter.
Yeah,
so,
man.
It is a sad bit.
Getting the feels just thinking about it, man. I have no notes for this movie because I was just watching it. But in the last note, I wrote down I cried. Manly tears, man.
And then Laura says the line from Shane, and then takes the cross and makes it an X and then walks away.
I know. That would have been a beautiful send off.
And then Deadpool showed up and then plugged up his screen. Was like, "We got more things to do, man. Let's go."
Man, that would have been the perfect send off for these Fox X-Men movies, but we got more. But that's our send off for this episode, which is over 3 hours long. Thank you so much for sitting down and having this talk with me. I've been wanting to do this for a while.
Word.
This is a good time.
Now I gotta get some food in me.
Yeah, man, go get some food. Maybe the next retrospective will be Fast and Furious. Who knows?
Yeah, we can do that. We'll do all Spy Racers, all 3 seasons.
Yeah. Alright, man. That's it for this episode. If you guys are stuck with us, man, great job. Because you're probably not going to get a long episode like this ever again. But, everyone, take care. See you next time.